Elf I am the protagonist template. Invincible chapter 421-440. 421. The autumn wind has not moved, but Zen is enlightened. Chucho. Appearing in the field is also Xiao Huang's original elf, one of the members of the Dappy God family, a female Pikachu with the flower name, Chucho. Speaking of which, the little guy at the time was only a novice elf of the 10th level. And now. Open black lens bracket race. Pikachu close black lens bracket. Attribute. Electricity. Feature. Static electricity. Level. Champion beginner, 71, 15/100. Potential. Champion. Opening square bracket ellipsis closing square bracket. Prop. Electric beads. Open black lens bracket introduction. Perfect close black lens bracket. Introduction. He is not good at combat, but he has an amazing understanding of the use of skills and attributes. On the way to travel, his natural acuity is stimulated. Quote. Championship level. Baizi looked at the little guy who was waving at him in the field with a smile, and he waved in response, prompting, "Little guy, I'm going to shoot." Tilde. Pikachu nodded heavily, then a pair of small claws clenched his chest, staring at the giant golden monster opposite. On the podium, Baizi's expression suddenly changed. Giant golden monster, mind hammer. Tilde. The spiritual power of missing was instantly condensed on the forehead of the giant golden monster, turned into a distorted invisible light projectile lacing out, and rushed away in the direction of Pikachu. As a mobile gun tank in Baizi's mind, Baizi did not neglect the development of the long-range ability of the giant gold monster while asking the giant gold monster to develop its decisive melee talent. After all, the giant gold monster also inherited the two exclusive magical skills of the ultimate worlds, Brilliant God, Necrozma, Photon Surge, and Prism Laser. Naturally, it is impossible to keep Baoshan empty without using it. The giant gold monster has 4 brains, and its complex neural network enables it to have computing power beyond supercomputers. Therefore, it also has considerable innate advantages in the fine manipulation of energy use. It is precisely because of this that Baizi has always been lean in the training direction of long-range strikes against giant golden monsters, and only seeks the word, fast. To gather quickly. Release fast. Blow fast. Strive for the opponent to be unable to resist at all, or in other words, make them unable to react at all. Such a long-range strike with an ultra-high rate of fire is matched with its indestructible physique, as well as its inherently strong close combat ability. A complete giant golden monster can be said to be almost indistinguishable. No short board. Such a road. It seems that it has surpassed Baizi's initial vision of the giant gold monster. In the field. The psychic group flying like a cannonball, pulled away the blocking atmosphere in front of it, forming a tail smoke of a sonic boom, completely breaking the sound barrier at super high speed, and attacking the skin almost in the blink of an eye. In front of Kachu's face. But in the next instant. The psychic headhammer penetrated the body of Pikachu, without any hindrance at all, leaving a small white smoke that exploded from the place. Boom. The shell went straight through a row of trees and hit the alloy wall on the edge of the arena behind Pikachu. Tilde. In the sound of Han's small cotton voice, the smoke dissipated, and the intact Pikachu reappeared in place. If it weren't for the rock block that had been scraped with a layer of soil and rocks under his feet, the blow just now seemed to be completely empty. Substitute. No. Baizi looked slightly surprised, and the blue eyes gathered and scattered like clouds and mist. Terry. The giant gold monster's complexion sank, and his eyes glowed with blue light. Immediately. Swoosh. With the sound of breaking wind, Pikachu, who had an innocent expression on his face, twitched his ears, and suddenly leaned over and shrank as if he had discovered something. Next second. The psychic cannonballs flying from behind slid directly against its scalp. And hit the air again. Special tilde Rui tilde. The giant gold monster was obviously a little angry, his eyes were stunned, and the next second, the thought power cannonball that had just rubbed Pikachu's scalp and flew back to the top of Pikachu's head in a roundabout way. In his eyes, the blue light of thought power rose instantly. Sip. Whoosh whoosh. This psychic cannonball the size of a round table suddenly burst out of thin air, splitting into countless psychic javelins with the thickness of chopsticks, and swayed towards Pikachu below like a rain curtain. ... Psychic Cannonball Prism Laser Edition. This blow is not too far from Pikachu, and the area covered by the blast is large enough. Logically speaking, Pikachu should have no other way unless he takes it hard. But, however, Pikachu showed amazing agility, flashing and moving in the rain curtain of psychic laser, like a dazzling skill, and from time to time using the steel tail to precisely align the unavoidable parts. In this dangerous rain of lasers, a picture scroll composed of bright yellow lightning phantoms danced out. All at once. Baizi can see clearly. The speed and agility shown by this Pikachu are almost extreme. Among his own elves, in terms of pure physical expression, only the Stingerbee dares to say that he will win. One chip. But this. It's still not the real trouble with this Pikachu. Try again. Baizi's thoughts moved, and his spiritual power was immediately linked, and he gave instructions to the giant golden monster. Momentary. SIP 327. High-speed movement, secretly blessed, almost instantaneously crossed the half of the field and appeared on Pikachu's body. Back in the sky. At the same time as the upward swing of the cross arm, the body uses the rotating centrifugal force of the gyro ball move, such as an axe and tomahawk slash, directly hitting the back of Pikachu's neck. Smashing tiles. At the same time. Swish swish one by one. Several thin blades of transparent energy that were hidden on the ground broke out of the dust, and from the front, cut towards Pikachu's head, neck, waist, arms and legs. ... Skill, Spirit Blade. In this way. Encircled on all sides, it is almost inevitable. But, even so, Pikachu still performed well enough. Even before the giant golden monster started, he fell to the side as if he had a foresight. Then, by coincidence, he laid on the bottom of a spiritual blade, used it as a pedal, and drew it out like a swallow returning to its nest. ... As expected. It's more than sharp enough. Looking back at the evaluations in the data panel known from the previous investigation, Baizi couldn't help sighing. It's simply just, the autumn wind does not move, but Zen foresight. Quote. 422. Absolute power, photon gush. Good. Is, the autumn wind does not move but Zen foresight. Xiaohuang's Pikachu itself is not an attack speed hand, cultivated for its combat power. As Xiaohuang's initial elf, although he doesn't like fighting, his acuity is weak. Gradually showed amazing talent. This almost pre-knowledge, keen insight, combined with Pikachu's own agility and specially trained reflexes of exclusive tactics that is invincible, even though it is not enough to kill is formed. It is also the reason why Pikachu was entrusted by Xiaohuang to delay time for her reason. Speaking of which, this ability really has the meaning of, you can't hear it, you can see it. Or, see and smell domineering. It's interesting. On the stand, the corner of the green mouth raised a smile, and there was a hint of thought in the red eyes on the side. Have to say, this Pikachu on the field showed the acumen, which was almost holes ahead, and it was indeed worth thinking about and learning. Because of this, it is especially important for every elf, especially the elf with high attack speed and crispy skin. Not to mention, among the main force of Qinglu or Bidiao, who specializes in speed, and Lada, who possesses the power of divine speed, and Crimson itself has a speeder that is far superior to the ordinary stall Pikachu. But, even if I appreciate the sharp release of this Pikachu's power, whether it's green or red, I don't think Xiaohuang has really taken off Baizi. Don't say anything else. If Bai Zejun wanted to stop Xiao Huang's meditation and directly suppress the she, wouldn't that work better than anything else? Tisk tisk, Lian Xiangxiu. Green shook his head and chuckled. And this time, the always taciturn Crimson suddenly murmured, this way, it's fine. Huh. Qinglu was stunned when he heard the words, and after looking at Qihong solemnly watching the eyes on the field, he suddenly understood. Indeed. Compared to the two who have been fighting since childhood, Baizi has always seemed to be hidden in the fog, no matter if it was his almost intuitive foresight when he was a child. Before the departure, the transformation and growth rate that almost leapt. Even today, neither of them has figured out who are the main forces in Baizi's hands, let alone the strengths and characteristics of these main forces. Fear comes from the unknown. Although Qinglu's understanding of Crimson, he will not be afraid, but in the face of Baizi, this man who always seems to be hidden in the mist, always has some uneasiness and taboo about the unknown. Fear. And now, if Baizi didn't choose to use the straightforward method of potential, then in order to break the situation, he would have to turn out more cards. So, for Crimson, of course, it is a good thing. After all, in all likelihood, Crimson's next opponent is Baizi. Thinking of this, Qinglu immediately became interested, and quickly looked at the field with great interest. Has this little guy walked out of his own path? On the podium, with one hand in his pocket, Baizi, whose expression was calm from beginning to end, had a smile on his lips. Although this is indeed a very difficult ability, for Baizi, he has always been in need of ways to break the game. Withdrew his gaze from the battlefield. Baizi glanced at Xiao Huang, who was sitting cross-legged on the podium across from him, his breath gradually calming down, and his eyes flashed. Okay, giant gold monster. Standing slightly upright, Baizi's gentle voice spread to the arena, stopping the giant golden monster who was chasing Pikachu and was constantly tormenting in the forest field. The faint breath gradually spread, and the hook chain was placed on the body of the giant golden monster. Terry tilde. The giant golden monster slowly fell to the ground, and invisible ripples spread from its 4 feet touching the ground, and the mountain-like aura suddenly burst out, causing the Pikachu on the opposite side to pucker. Next second. Stab, underscore. It flew back in a burst of lightning. In the blink of an eye, his body was already firmly attached to the corner of the wall on the right edge of the arena. Really sharp. The corner of Baizi's mouth twitched, as if he intended to pass the voice to Xiao Huang's ear, and said aloud word by word. Strategy, tactics, traits. These are all things that a good trainer must have and must do for the elf companions who are attached to them. But the smile on Baizi's face gradually expanded, and the volume gradually increased. Many times, these things cannot cross a thing. That is, absolute power. Light is flowing. Untouchable, but it can be clearly felt. The streamer imprinted in the eye is gathered in the arena, and even the entire Baiyan mountain. From the ground, from the sky, from the stars. Even in the void. These rays of light gathered together and turned into scorching white photon lines, and the front end of a painted triangular mark appeared on the forehead of the giant golden monster who closed his eyes and did not move. Next second. Like a tidal wave, it rushed out in the direction of Pikachu. This is 1 by 1 photon spewing. The Alola region, the creator of the ultimate world, the glorious god Necrozma's exclusive trick was whispered out of Baizi's mouth. This running stream doesn't look huge. At the moment when it spews out, it still continuously receives light particles, coming from all directions, turning into surging and rising. The tidal waves will engulf everything around you. Pikachu, well Zhao, is no exception. Although it has almost turned into a string of yellow streamer movies, it is still unavoidable in this unreasonable photon wave that completely covers the venue as if covering the sky. Like a small boat under the waves of the sky. In the powerless struggle and despair, he was completely drowned in the flowing ocean of photons. The place was silent. Tens of thousands of spectators fell into inexplicable spiritual shock. It's not just this spectacular skill release scene. More importantly, it is what all of them feel from the power flowing past them, the vastness. Extensive and supreme. The power of God. P.S. I have to say that Zoroha and Zoroark in the Shikwi area are really cute, as shown in the picture. Closing parenthesis. 423. The so-called, supreme, teaching war. This skill. In the observation room, the two league champions, a heavenly king who is not inferior, and Dr. Omu himself, all showed shock at this time. Such a huge skill release scene can only be seen in his life. But more importantly, it is the supreme and broad divine will revealed by the giant golden monster when it releases this skill. There is no doubt that this is a top legend with a job title, that is, the breath that a god can possess. Even more than. After all, the supreme will displayed in the flow of photons is not something that ordinary top legends and divine beasts can possess. Could it be? Sharona's mind suddenly flashed an enlarged seal of the god of creation that was circulated in the ancient legends of Shanao, but then she shook her head again. After all, this idea is too amazing. The so-called supreme may just be a special effect produced by an unexplored, genetic, or exclusive skill. Photon spewing, tisk tisk, it's really an eye-opening trump card. On the stand, Qinglu had an amazed expression on his face. However, the prudence in his eyes is not lacking in the slightest. And, almost subconsciously, began to calculate the strategy and tactics of this move. Crimson beside him was naturally more cautious. This focus. It is exactly what a good trainer must have, and it is also one of the fundamentals of turquoise and red, being able to reach the present level at such an age. Look back. You commanded the giant gold monster to defeat Xiaohuang's Pikachu, and gained a little, battle +15, giant gold monster experience value +10, photon spurt proficiency +3. When the system's prompt sounded in Baizi's ears, Xiaohuang also opened his eyes. As expected of brother Baizi. With a light sigh, Xiaohuang got up and put away Pikachu. After comforting him, he took a black and yellow luxurious ball from his waist. Go on. With a squeak, the Pokeball was thrown out. It was not beyond Baizi's expectations, it was the Archaeopteryx with a unique, tough, characteristic. Ga tilde. The Archaeopteryx made a threatening shout in Baizi's direction as soon as he appeared on the stage. Obviously, this guy recognized Baizi, who took advantage of the fact that he did not recover. If you catch yourself, it's a slap in the face. Such a look immediately made the giant golden monster dissatisfied. Immediately. Terry tilde. Accompanied by a dull low roar, the giant golden monster stepped on all fours, and the turbulent magnetic force broke out instantly, driving its body, and smashed its fist in the direction of the ancestor bird. 11 skills, arm hammer. Come on, dragon claw. Ga tilde. The Archaeopteryx did not show weakness, and went straight to meet it. The claws attached to the energy armor tore away towards the giant gold monster. Stab, _. Sip. The dragon claw landed directly on the face of the giant gold monster, causing a burst of sparks and the sound of metal clashing and grinding, but not even a white mark was left on the face of the giant gold monster. The strength of its defense is evident. However, in contrast, after having endured the terrifying power of the giant gold monster that transcended the boundaries, the ancestor bird was like a chasing drifter that was thrown away, rolling and bouncing all the way to fly for hundreds of meters. It didn't stop until a groove was smashed out of the alloy wall at the edge of the arena behind him. A big punch. The strength of the two sides is very different from the naked eye. The Archaeopteryx. Come again. Dragon claw. But even so, Xiaohuang launched a strong attack again after the ancestor big bird struggled to get up from the wall. What was the idea? Obviously self-evident. Do you want to inspire? Forced. Baizi's expression was meaningful, and he chuckled, it depends on whether you can hold it up. CFED surge. The familiar password came out of Bai Zi's mouth again. At this moment, Xiao Huang's eyes shrank suddenly. Stop it, the lightning flashes. She wanted to use up some of her physical strength to stimulate the forced feature of the Archaeopteryx, but with this photon spurt, she could feel the vast energy even during meditation torrent. This trick is hard to eat. I am afraid that the ancestor bird will directly GG. That's a fart. Ga. Underscore. As if feeling the urgency of the trainer, the Archaeopteryx burst out 120% of its potential. While using lightning flash, he also used high-speed movement. Under the two-way acceleration, it crossed the half-court almost instantly. He stood up on one foot and headed straight towards the head of the giant golden monster who seemed to be meditating with his eyes closed. Stomping. Stomping can actually be regarded as a range-based state application type move. Sprite speed. But the giant gold monster has twice the weak ground. Under the acceleration of lightning flash and high-speed movement, the direct attack power of stomp will also be quite impressive. But it's too urgent, Xiao Huang. As a trainer, you can't be too urgent because of panic. Bai Zi's preaching voice came slowly, causing Xiao Huang's heart to jump. And the next second, sip, underscore. Archaeopteryx's strike was suddenly empty. At the same time as the white smoke exploded, the ground shook, and the ripples spread out in a ring. It's a stand-in. Xiao Huang instantly recognized this skill. But it's too late to remind me again. Terry tilde. A low roar suddenly sounded from behind the ancestor bird, and then, it felt that at the moment when the howling wind came, it suddenly suffered a heavy hammer on the back of the head. Sip underscore. The eyes were staring at Venus, and it was even a little dim. The Archaeopteryx was thrown into an arc like a baseball that was hit and flew straight away. And before it flew out, the giant golden monster floating in midair clasped its arms together, and the metallic color on it gradually faded. Comet fist. Immediately after. Hum underscore. The photons that converged into a river rushed out again. Photon surge. Familiar and moving scenes are reproduced. It's like the endless brilliance is condensed and directed by the giant golden monster, turned into a surging photon rushing out, and the entire venue was once again emptied. However, as the photons continued to rush and wash away, a palpitating aura suddenly climbed up from the flow of this photon. 424. Giant gold monster, show your strength to the world. Call, underscore. In the field, the surging wind suddenly rose up, and even directly pushed the surging photons to keep retreating. And then, Ga tilde. When it was revealed, the slightly embarrassed Archaeopteryx suddenly accelerated and fluttered its wings. The gust of counterattack swept again. Pop one by one. Directly press down the remaining photon river, and break it up, empty. This is clear the fog. Bai Zi's face finally moved for a moment. The clearing the fog move itself is only a harmless change-type trick, and its function is only used to clear the opponent's anti-fog. Skills such as wall shot or wall of light can reduce the opponent's evasion rate. But now, Archaeopteryx has used clear the fog to disperse the attack technique. Is the giant golden monster inherited from Necrozma's exclusive trick, Photon Surge. It's really outrageous. Fucking open the door to outrageous home. This forced feature is simply magical. With strong curiosity, Bai Zi's eyes flashed brightly, and he explored the data panel of the Archaeopteryx at this time. Other changes are not large, and the level has not been improved. Only 2 changes. 1. It is the race value of Archaeopteryx. HP, 150, Attack, 280, Defense, 130, Special Attack, 224, Special Defense, 130, Speed, 220. Total value, 1134. 9 points higher than the complete body of Wuji Tai, the current highest racial value, which is far from the big spectrum. Even Bai Zi had already expected it, but when he really brought this value into his eyes, he couldn't help but feel a little dry. It's no wonder that Alice's absolute ace, the two-axe dragon, couldn't take a single punch. Stop fighting the dragon with two axes, this is to change to a top legend with a similar level. If you get this punch, you will have to kneel in all likelihood. In addition to the changes in racial values, it was clearly stated in the introduction column, which barely set foot on the description of quasi-magic strike combat power. But just when Baizi took his sight back, a warm force immediately blessed the Archaeopteryx. The aura that seemed to be real burst out suddenly and was quickly restrained back. This time, even if Baizi didn't go to investigate, he knew that after the power of Xiao Huang Vivian blessing, this ancestral bird has completely entered the limit of quasi-god combat power. And just as Baizi fell into deep thought, the ground beneath the feet of the great Archaeopteryx suddenly exploded, and the next second, the great Archaeopteryx that disappeared suddenly appeared in the position of the giant golden monster. And the giant gold monster disappeared. In the blink of an eye, he was deeply sunk into the wall on the edge of the arena. There was a flash of lightning. What a terrifying physique that is combat power! Baizi exclaimed. And on the field. The giant gold monster who had deducted himself from the wall shook his body and glanced at the small cracks on his side, and his face suddenly rose with a look of joy. The giant gold monster, untie it. At this moment, as if he understood what he was thinking, Baizi's voice came first. With the master's approval, the giant golden monster glanced at the opposite and rose into the sky, and was about to repeat the old trick, and the Archaeopteryx fell down, with a calm expression. But in the scarlet eyes, it is full of ferocity and fanaticism. Do you want to defeat me by using the stomp trick that was unsuccessful before? Great idea, but if you want to compete for strength, I will never lose to any existence. The giant golden monster slowly stood still. Immediately, with the continuous click, caca sound of the machine, more than a dozen black circular iron rings flew out from the joints of the limbs and the chassis under the body, under the wrapping of the power of thought. And with the power of thought, boom 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 boom. As soon as those black rings that were no more than the thickness of the wrist landed, countless smoke and dust were suddenly stirred up. On the ground of the arena, more than a dozen huge potholes that were several meters deep were forcibly smashed. Wow! The loud noise suddenly came from the audience. Ren Carrot did not expect that when the giant golden monster was fighting, there were more than a dozen load-bearing rings tied to his body. Ask for flowers. Everyone was silent. Actually, Baizi couldn't help the reason why he was tied up so much. With the continuous growth of the giant gold monster, the magnetic force in its body has become stronger and stronger. Therefore, the most popular magnetic load ring on the market has no way to work on it. Therefore, Baizi can only use the most basic weight arm ring to carry the weight for the giant gold monster. But the heaviest armband on the market is only 500 kilograms. Baizi spent a lot of money to find a specially made one from Syrif Group, but it only tripled, barely reaching 1500 kilograms. This weight is enough for ordinary elves, but it is obviously far from enough for the giant gold monster, who is born with divine power. Therefore, Baizi ordered 18 in one go, barely reaching the limit where the giant gold monster does not affect daily operations, and asked it to use magnetic lift to move freely on the battlefield. Have to say, the giant gold monster is really talented in the 2 points of fine operation and strength. In just a few days, he has probably adapted to the degree of freedom of movement with the weight of dozens of tons on his back. This kind of specially built training is almost there for every main handheld elves. And the weight of the giant gold monster. In addition to exercising its manipulative power and physique, it can also be said to be a layer of seal. Until a few months ago, Baizi experienced a time travel. During this period, the giant gold monster has never released this layer of shackles. To this day. How strong the giant golden monster who has taken off this layer of shackles is. Come on. Baizi's eyes showed anticipation. For the first time, he actively raised his potential in the arena, surpassing all beliefs, and at this moment, he was connected with the mind of the giant gold monster. Now, let me see, and show the world, how powerful you are. Followed by Baizi's thoughts immediately. Next second. Boom, underscore. Invisible chi surging on the surface of the giant golden monster, like arrogance rising, skyrocketing. Quote. Comet punch. Beg underscore. 425. The Battle of the Scourge. The terrifying potential of the Race King gradually revealed. Seeking all. Terry tilde. With an order, the giant golden monster immediately responded. And this movement, it suddenly felt that the whole body seemed to be light and unstressed, and it was very easy to break free from the shackles of gravity with a slight footstep, and in the blink of an eye, there was a sound barrier. In the roar of, like a comet lifted into the sky, lacing towards the direction of the Archaeopteryx above. And above. Seeing that the giant golden monster dared to resist, the face of the ancestor bird suddenly raised a hint of surly. The energy factor of the ground system wrapped around the right foot soared, and the strength of the stomp gave 3 more in an instant. Minute. The next moment, the two fists and claws collided. Single quote. Stomp, vs. Comet fist. Quote exclamation mark. The so-called loud voice is silent. Under the blow of the two sides with all their strength, the entire arena seems to have fallen into a short time and space stagnation. Giant, 327 inches golden monster and the ancestor bird's fists and claws met. They were also frozen in midair like a picture. And the next moment. Boom. The roar suddenly sounded, the void shocked. The frantic impact was smashed in all directions with the intersection of the giant golden monster and the ancestor bird's fists and claws. The near-substantial shock force even stirred up layers of smoke and dust like waves, completely filling the entire arena blocked by the safety device. The mountain-like tsunami-like air waves continuously hit the surface of the shield, causing layers of ripples. And the turbulent energy of the turbulence slammed the entire venue into chaos. It was impossible to see, but the roaring sound was like firecrackers, and the momentum was amazing. Everyone in the venue stared at the venue completely covered with smoke and dust. Gradually, the dust and smoke seemed to turn into a tornado. Then, immediately, it collapsed with a humming sound of explosion. So, repeatedly, people could barely see the two black shadows that were gathering and dispersing from time to time, quickly touching in the dust and smoke. Collide. And every collision. There will be a violent roar, and the obvious tremors that spread throughout the venue. Like a disaster. There is no better adjective for the battle between the two sides. Even monsters. This was the voice of the trainers in the entire venue who could see what the performances of both sides represented. Using attribute energy to mobilize nature, or using skills to dig mountains and rocks, there are many trainers present who are confident that their main hand can easily do it. But those two in the field, especially the giant gold monster, there is no special status increase, and there is no completely unreasonable blessing of combat power. The ancestor who can rely on its own strength and combat power to increase has completely exceeded the limit of the championship. Evenly matched to such a point, resulting in such a huge stalemate. The physique shown on the side is astonishing, to the point of appalling. This is completely not in line with common sense. Indeed, the physique and innate racial value of the giant golden monsters themselves belong to a relatively strong type, and after special tempering by the trainer, they can keep up with the next level. This can be seen from the duck-billed fire dragon of Shabo on Red Lotus Island. And this is also the path that most top-level trainers will gradually take. Deeply excavate the characteristics of one aspect of their own elves, and develop and temper them in depth, thereby triggering transformation and touching the laws. Yes, this is the standard way to advance to a quasi-god. Take Xiaobo's duck-billed fire dragon as an example. The tempering of his physique is actually a compression tempering of the fire attribute energy level in his body. After reaching a certain level, the compressed fire attribute factor is enough to touch the law power of the fire element. After reaching the end of the championship, the subsequent perception and transformation is to step on the avenue of quasi-gods. Of course. Generally speaking, whether it is a trainer specializing in one line or a trainer who takes multiple attributes, when they are involved in the in-depth development of elf traits, the paths they choose are mostly the same. Energy level compression, attribute extraction, feature mining, etc. Like Xiaobo, it is quite rare for each elves to go in different directions. But also normal. Xiaobo himself is not a practitioner who is committed to pursuing the peak of the trainer. For him, it is more interesting to go his own way instead of focusing on the pursuit of one. Book back to topic. The so-called tempering is a kind of quest and comprehension of excavating characteristics. It is true that in this process, the elves will become stronger, but it is a way rather than an end. Even if it becomes stronger, there is a limit. You can exercise the duck-billed fire dragon to be more powerful than the monsters of the same level, but you still have to kneel when you encounter an elves whose level of combat power is completely crushed. But this giant gold monster is completely beyond common sense. Archaeopteryx can also be said to have this level of combat power for a short time with the help of a special boost, and the giant gold monster. With the eyesight of Dr. Damu and the others, it can be seen that this giant gold monster, who has entered the championship level at the most, is completely normal. With his physique and strength that is completely beyond common sense, he is fighting with this Archaeopteryx, whose combat power is likely to have surpassed the limits of champions, even if they dare not say victory easily. Face-to-face combat, not weak. It is not uncommon in the world of elves to fight over the ranks. But what most trainers don't know is that after the level of the elves enters the realm of the king, it becomes more and more difficult to fight. The further you go, the harder it will be to achieve. This point, the veteran trainers like Dr. Damu and Yulongdu can't understand it anymore. Not to mention, this giant golden monster has crossed the gap between champion and quasi-god. Dr. Damu was inexplicably shocked, and Baizi himself also had a new understanding of the limit shown by the giant golden monster. The king of races. This is by no means 4.3 ordinary, transcendental races, the qualities of the value, and the potential of reaching the realm of the gods, can be simply expressed. Perhaps. Excluding such exceptional existences as Lai Kongzai and Kang Shang, in terms of innate aptitude, even a legendary elves like Xiao Kapu Mingming, and the successors of top legends like Shinado. In front of the giant gold monster, it is also a little bit better. The king of races. His eyes were heavy, and the fight on the field continued, but Baizi's thoughts suddenly changed to another angle. If the innate race king has such potential, then the fire-breathing dragon of Crimson Red, who is also the king of the race, is really only the level it has shown before. 426. Crimson Enlightenment, Victory. In addition to Xiaoji, a guy who fights purely with intuition and talent, intelligence warfare is also a part of the elf battle. It is an integral part of tactics and strategies. This time at the Silver Mountain Conference, the tactical use of intelligence and counterintelligence has happened more than once. In addition, there is a crimson fire-breathing dragon that is also the race king, but its expressiveness is very different from that of the giant gold monster. Therefore, Baizi suspects that it is human nature to have reservations about crimson. But this time, Baizi really thinks too much. The crimson fire-breathing dragon really hasn't inspired its racial traits as a natural king. It's not that crimson is not sharp enough, or that his fire-breathing dragon is not as good as Baizi's giant gold monster or something. At the end of the day. In fact, it is the concept of race king that no one knows except Baizi himself. Different from Baizi, with the exploration function of Baizi's power, he has a clear position on the trait 25 of the giant golden monster from the very beginning. Coupled with the experience of borrowing the Future Combat Power Experience card, Baizi has a fairly clear direction for the growth of the giant golden monster. Therefore, although he did not deliberately move in this direction, as a comparison who has seen the answer, Baizi will still be affected by this when he cultivates the giant golden monster. What is unforgettable today is the cultivation in the direction of King Kong is not bad, and wonderful power. Not to mention, adventurous encounter of the giant gold monster itself is also not bad. After hatching, it has harvested the fortunes related to the brilliant god, Necrozma twice in the ultimate world. Therefore, from the very beginning, the giant gold monster has laid a solid foundation that other elves can't catch up with in a lifetime, and embarked on the most correct path forward. And what about the red fire-breathing dragon? At this point, the discovery of its characteristics is completely crossing the river by feeling the stones. The reason why it can be discovered and used simply is that it was gradually discovered after repeated adventures in that unknown temple before. One more. Both belong to the king of the race, and the characteristics of the fire-breathing dragon and the giant gold monster are also completely different. The giant gold monster is similar to the basic fundamental talent, resistance, and strength, are excellent, and they are on the bright side. And the fire-breathing dragon. According to Baizi's understanding of the introduction, it should be the transformation talent in blood and attribute, which is relatively obscure, and the initial development is also relatively difficult. However, although the development of bloodline and attribute is difficult to get started, once you step in, it may really be an instant transformation. This obviously has nothing to do with Baizi. But, above the stands, looking solemnly at the turquoise fighting in the arena, I suddenly felt a heart palpitate. Then, he suddenly turned his head and looked at Crimson beside him. I saw his good friend, who seemed to be stunned in place, staring blankly at the giant golden monster in the field. And the whole body seems to have unconsciously released the fighting potential that belongs to him, surrounding him. Kai, you. Some wondered what Kai had discovered, and Qinglu, who was almost unable to control his own potential, just opened his mouth. Next second, the crimson eyes suddenly cleared, and the momentum quickly subsided, and then he took a deep look at the giant gold monster in the field. As if he had suddenly obtained some kind of answer that he had been desperate for, he didn't even continue to watch the game. He pressed the brim of his hat, turned around, left the place, and walked outside the venue. Behind. Qinglu frowned deeply. This is not the first time he has seen this kind of clear direction and goal, and the incomparably determined pursuit of the back. Red. Qinglu watched the back of the red gradually disappear, and turned his eyes back to the field, his eyebrows locked. What the hell did you find? At this moment, the little joy in his heart of stepping into the new realm of trainers in advance has disappeared. Instead, there is a renewed sense of urgency. But he wouldn't ask about Kai Hong's discovery, just like he wouldn't take the initiative to tell Kai Hong and Baizi the direction of the second step about potential. Not closed doors. It's just that he believes that neither Crimson nor Baizi can be blocked from the door of potential. Even if he really slows down in some places, he can still rely on it. Lend yourself, catch up. I am a big tree and green, and I will never be weaker than others in my life. And this moment. On the field. As the battle continued, Archaeopteryx's offensive became more rapid and tough, and for a while, the giant golden monster was gradually suppressed. The claw blade is swung, and the wings are slashed. In a short period of time, the giant gold monster that actually fought was powerless to fight back. But in the face of this, Baizi's expression was not urgent, but looked at Xiaohuang with a little pity, and sighed, "Is it the limit?" 327 Xiaohuang, whose face was pale, shuddered when he heard the words. Just as she was about to continue to squeeze the power of victory in her body to bless her again, Baizi's slightly rebuking voice suddenly came from afar. Too stupid. Moment. An inexplicable aura instantly oppressed her, cutting off her control over her body like a Pao Ding Jia Niu, blocking her wanting to continue to use the power of Vibrant Pan. And with the disconnection of the power of Viking. The ancestral Archaeopteryx, who had been aggressively suppressing the giant golden monster in the corner and banging wildly, suddenly slumped as if it were powerless in the follow-up. Immediately afterwards, like a toppled domino, the breath plummeted layer by layer, and the originally powerful fist and claws suddenly became soft. When the last, dragon claw, hit the giant golden monster's iron arm blocking his forehead, it collapsed spontaneously. "It's over." Seeing this scene, Baizi murmured as if the curtain had ended. Terry tilde. The scarlet eyes supported by the giant gold monster's arms showed a smirk, and between the arms, they directly hooped the neck of the ancestor bird in front of him. Magnetic burst. Twist. Falling down suddenly, the ultimate shock. 427. A stubborn combination, the reappearance of the Shining King sword, giant beast slash. Boom. The roar resounded, and the system's prompt sound was also transmitted to Baizi's ears one by one. You command the giant gold monster to defeat Xiaohuang's ancestor bird, and you get a little gain. Baizi's power proficiency +10, battle experience +15, giant gold monster experience value +15, comet fist proficiency +3. And next. As the smoke in the field gradually disappeared, the great Archaeopteryx exposed at the bottom of the pothole fell on its back with a weakened breath. His eyes were white, and the mouth was foaming, as if he had lost consciousness. The giant golden monster climbed up from its side, and then dragged it out of the pothole with thought power and placed it on a relatively flat ground. The only one who can compete with it to such an extent is this great Archaeopteryx to this day. Is a respectable opponent. The Archaeopteryx loses its ability to fight, and the giant golden monster wins. After the referee Caesar's quick entry inspection, he immediately waved the flag to make a judgment. And then, after sweeping through the mess and turning into a ground full of dirt, he said to the walkie-talkie on his shoulder with a face that was not used to it, Hey, please change the venue as soon as possible. Land type, forest." Afterwards, he quickly reminded Baizi and the two, "Please take back the elves temporarily and wait for the venue to be changed. Come back first." When Baizi took out the Pokeball and contained the light, the giant golden monster was recalled directly. And opposite. The breath is disordered, but Xiaohuang, whose complexion is not as pale as before, also insisted on taking the Archaeopteryx back into the Pokeball. After finding that the Archaeopteryx was not seriously injured, it was only slightly. Breathe a sigh of relief. No need to use the power of Vibrant. In her current state, if she is forced to use the power of Vibrant to heal the Archaeopteryx, I am afraid that she will not have to fight anymore, and she will be the first to be unable to hold on and retire. But this battle is an opportunity she has been waiting for a long time. It was to prove to Baizi that she had grown enough to stand beside him, so, no matter what, she didn't want to leave the stage with regrets. But the squeezing invocation of Vibrant's power was too exhausting to her physical strength. Even if the spirit is strong. Her eyes gradually began to appear double shadows, and from time to time, there were bursts of tinnitus that sounded like metal grinding. Moment. The venue change was completed, under the repeated prompting of the referee. Xiaohuang was barely attentive before throwing the whitish poke ball in his hand. The arc was so short that it even hit the edge of the podium before it rolled down. And bloom with white light. Next second. The figure of Vulcan Moth appeared from the field. Budu tilde, who was standing behind him, whose consciousness was not clear, and was supported by willpower. Next second. Boom, _. As its 6 wings spread, it took off into the sky, and the scorching flames suddenly swirled around its body. In no time. A dazzling, scorching sun hangs over the arena. And, the next moment. The surrounding fire attribute energy factor also gradually manifested, turning into a trickle of flames. Eyes narrowed. Converges towards the hot sun, hanging in the sky. Feeling the boiling fire attribute factor and the Vulcan moth in the energy perspective, condensed to the extreme, it seems that the boiling energy level of the body breaking and exploding in the next moment, the white face is condensed. Really, this pair of trainers and elves, one by one, why are they so uneasy? Slight forehead. After quickly retracting the giant golden monster's pokeball, Baizi was about to take off the last luxury ball on his waist, tapped the middle button, and the moment it swelled, he suddenly threw it out. Immediately. Sizzling beer tilde. The white light flashed and turned into a silver streamer. The large needle bee that flew out accompanied with a soft groan, and passed by the side of the Vulcan moth hanging in the sky like a hot sun. In the field, the screen suddenly stopped, as if it were frozen. And then, swish swish one by one. The exploding white half-arc blade light flashed after a delay, severing and disintegrating the hot sun, turning into countless bright red droplets that scattered and spread out. Mind eyes even cut. Cloth. Duo tilde. Feeling the fire attribute energy factor condensed all over the body, and the boiling energy level that was deliberately detonated in the body being smashed by the precise flashing in an instant, the Vulcan moth resisted the stiffness that came from all over the body. Straight and painful. Going back. Whoosh _. As the silver light passed, a phantom suddenly approached behind it like a ghost. Afterwards, Vulcan moth felt a sudden stinging pain from an energy node in his lower back. His eyes were slack, accompanied by extreme exhaustion and exhaustion. His consciousness also suddenly disappeared. The body suddenly fell from the sky. Skills. Click here. One-shot kills, as if, Peyoting Jia Niu. This extreme speed and precision made everyone watching the game feel so emotional. And then, your big needle bee killed the Vulcan moth in seconds, with a little gain, EXP +5. The system's prompt sounded in Baizi's ears. At the same time. Did you lose? Xiao Huang, who is strong in his heart, saw the Vulcan moth that was hoisted by the giant needle bee with, spinning, in the field. When his heartstrings loosened, his eyes suddenly turned black, and he fell down toward the front. Oh, _. Many viewers who noticed this suddenly exclaimed. And then, they saw the silver-white broken-haired boy flashing in front of the opposite podium in a burst of light, and with a swipe of his left arm, it seemed like a blue sword light phantom flashed out of thin air. Okay Zhao. Shining King Sword Behemoth Slash. Next second. The safety device, which was claimed to be able to defend against top champions' efforts for more than half an hour, was suddenly torn apart like a piece of paper. The young man passed by, and when he couldn't let go, he stopped the girl's slender waist before the opponent fell down. And then, click, 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 click. Under the erosion of inexplicable energy from the gap, the cracks spread like cobwebs, and within a moment, they covered the energy shield of the entire safety device. Slap, _. Then, under the stunned gazes of everyone, the energy shield covering the entire venue suddenly shattered into countless tiny energy slag, and the slag scattered little by little, spreading throughout the entire venue. The venue, under the refraction of the sun, is crystal clear and beautiful. 428. No one. Fried Hyena. The scene fell into silence, and then the voices of discussion gradually emerged. So beautiful. Yeah, it's really beautiful. I've also seen many gorgeous competitions. It's not an exaggeration to comment on a ribbon medal on a stage of this level. And it's also very romantic, isn't it? The hero saves the beauty, and embraces each other in the snowflake, formed by the broken energy shield. That is to say, this is really too romantic ye hollow down pointing triangle ye bu. And just when most of the people were caught in this beautiful, fuck, sound, which was at least an octave higher, suddenly sounded somewhere. The people nearby who were startled glared furiously. This is a young man wearing a cap with goggles. Many people recognize that this young man is the one who was rated as a monster on the internet. One of the candidates for the top rookie, the top 16 contestant, Ah Jin. At this time, he had a stunned look on his face, and that expression looked like he had seen a ghost. Why are you looking like that? Someone next to him asked him. Why such an expression? Ajin suddenly turned his head, grabbed the man's shoulder in the face of the other's terrified expression, and shook frantically. A safety device. A safety device. That's a safety device that can defend against champion-level combat power. Baizi just slashes like this. Ajin compares his arms, waving from top to bottom like Baizi. Then, it shatters. That's an energy shield that can resist champion-level combat power 327. It's not paper goofy. Lying trough. This time, many nearby spectators reacted immediately. Yes, this energy shield is certified by the Alliance, the highest level, and can completely resist the safety equipment of the champion level set. In the end, it was smashed into slag by Baizi with such a casual wave. Cut corners. That can't be. After all, its protective effect in the previous battles is obvious to all, and it does indeed live up to the highest level, and can resist the claim of champion-level combat power. That may be lack of energy. Can't Baizi, a human trainer, be able to break out a battle strength beyond the championship level so casually? Is he still a trainer? I'm afraid it's not an unknown spirit disguised as a human being. People were stunned, and there were even discussions on the internet. For a while. Swiped by the sound of, fuck. But Ajin's brain circuit is different from ordinary people. An unknown elf disguised as a human, Touching his chin thoughtfully, he looked at the back of Baizi who helped Xiao Huang put away the elf and the princess hugged him away. He was suddenly eager to try. How about, CFED. Try. Observing the room, it was silent at this time. For a long time. Say. Kona licked his lips dryly, hesitantly said, the first thing was the teleportation in superpower, then. What about the next one? Probably not. Yulongdu pondered for a moment, then shook his head and said, I can feel an extremely sharp breath from it, similar to a certain characteristic of the steel attribute energy factor. Is that so? Kona frowned slightly, obviously even more puzzled. Sharona didn't speak. Her best friend Catalya was a famous superpower in the United States, and because there was no way to meditate, it often caused superpower violence. Catalya who went away was the one who personally shot the townhouse. Therefore, she doesn't know much about superpowers, but at least she can be sure that the method used by Baizi to break the safety device is indeed not superpower. What kind of power is that? Also, the handle sword. Recalling the fleeting shadow of the sword, Sharona, who was aroused by her desire to explore, decided that after returning to Shanao this time, she must go to the library in the clan to read and explore. And right now, as if not surprised by Baizi's power at all, Dr. Damu, who looked like an old god, suddenly said, by the way, Adu. Yulongdu turned his head when he heard the words, and Dr. Damu continued, the power shown by Xiao Baize is really too an eyesore. I am afraid that after this game, there will be many. The guy who asked about the taste came to the door, and by that time. Dr. Damu has not finished speaking, but Yulongdu has already understood the meaning of the other party. His expression is positive, and he hastily assured. Dr. Damu, please rest assured, I will stop those ignorant guys and ensure Baizi's absolute safety. As soon as these words came out, Kona and Sharona also reacted immediately. Since ancient times, the human desire for power has never ceased. Elves, technology, these are all part of human power. In particular, the power of elves is the theme of this world, and it is also the factor that can influence the world the most. But, after all, this power is separated by a layer. Humans are envoys of elves, then, can human beings have the power of elves? This question has never been enjoyed in the minds of human beings. And the answer is yes. Vibrant power, waveguides, superpowers. These are all choices that can give humans power. However, the power of Vibrant may only occur in 10 years, and the messenger of the waveguide is difficult to occur in thousands of years. Only superpowers. Although the awakened people are uneven, they can be inherited after all, and they also have some bases. Dawn period, established by the Alliance, superpowers were refuted as aliens, and they were hunted down and persecuted by major forces and kingdoms, and there were countless superpowers who became experimental subjects. Number of wins. Intel. The appearance of the unknown superpower king who appeared and disappeared like a meteor. After a bloody storm, the Superpower Association headed by the Golden Market Superpower Clan was established to shelter all superpowers who joined it. Even after the establishment of the Alliance, the Superpower Association still became a semi-official type of organization, which has survived to this day. However, even with the establishment of the Alliance, the reputation of superpowers has not been very good. If there is no acquiescence and contribution from the top leaders of the Alliance, one of the few people present will not believe it. Same. Because of the fear of an unknown existence, the direction of superpower is impossible. But those so-called big men still haven't let go of their pursuit of power. A mixture of elves and humans injected or transplanted with elves' flesh. These secret experiments, others do not say, Yulongdu personally destroyed. There are not a dozen or 7 or 8. And now, a brand new power that is completely different from superpowers but can be mastered by humans has appeared. It's hard to guarantee that the guys who want to make them faint will not be moved. After all, although the Alliance as a whole is a righteous camp, to say that it is completely upright and has no hidden dark side at all, it would be fooling the ghost. These, to observe the current position of several people in the room, are also well aware of. And thinking of this, Zyrna suddenly felt a little furious. Champion of Yulongdu, if your alliance cannot guarantee the safety of trainers in this area, then, our Shanao Alliance special protection is available. Hearing this, Yulongdu was stunned for a moment, and then his complexion quickly turned black. Closing parenthesis. 429. Unimaginable background. Krona Champion, this will not be a problem for you. We in Kanto ask ourselves, it is enough to protect the trainers in the region. Yulongdu's face is full of smiles. Just kidding, this is my super talent in Great Kanto, a monster-level rising star, bringing Shanao. You really dare to think. Kona on the side also subconsciously raised a trace of common enemy, but then, as a woman, she smelled something else. Sharona said before that the purpose of this trip is for one person. This person, shouldn't it be Baizi? Traveling all the way up to bring the elf egg of the champion's parents. Just like this frizzy look. Tisk tisk tilde. Old cows eat young grass. Kona feels that he has seen through everything. Sharona frowned, and when she was about to refute, she was stopped in time by Dr. Damu on the side. Haha, Adu, Miss Sharona, I think you have misunderstood me. Dr. Ogi's teasing look swept across Sharona's look. Subsequently, after everyone gathered their gazes towards him, he then turned slightly serious, first looked at Yulongdu, and said, Adu, with the combat power Xiaobei's has shown now, you. Are you sure you can beat him 100%? A Theramite that breaks the field safety device with a single blow. It can be called a different colored giant gold monster with unparalleled power. The speed is so fast that even his eyesight can't see the flashing hornby. Not to mention the other Ibrahimovic, Suicune, and Flame Monkey. With only these 3 elves that he hasn't figured out yet, in a 3v3 situation, he has no certainty that he will win at all. Thinking of this, he probably understood what Dr. Damu meant, and shook his head with a wry smile. Indeed, with his strength, he doesn't need any protection at all, on the contrary. Contrary to what? Yulongdu didn't finish his words, but Dr. Damu picked it up immediately. On the contrary, what really need to worry about are those guys who are looking for Xiao Baizi's trouble. I know Xiao Baizi's temperament best. Although Baizi is the most gentle and polite among these children in Junshin Town, I know that this child has a pair of penetrating people. The eyes of the heart, the resoluteness of the heart, is something that very people can compare. A flash of reminiscence flashed in Dr. Damu's eyes. He paused, and continued. So, if those guys really touch his bottom line, I'm afraid there will be some things that you and I don't want. What I saw. Dr. Ogi was exhausted, but everyone present understood that this unwanted scene would be quite intense. Yulongdu frowned and asked, So, Dr. Damu, what do you mean? I didn't mean it clearly enough. Dr. Damu's expression was still leisurely, but the words out of his mouth made Yulongdu's complexion suddenly change. Speak to Dama Lanchi and tie those guys up, otherwise, I can only give them to them myself. On the leash. I'm not old yet. Thump, underscore. The sound of the teacup hitting the tabletop sounded. Next second. Yulongdu seemed to have a huge bull-headed phantom suddenly appearing in front of him, slamming towards him. The sound of hooves was bursting, and the humming was deafening. The will to open up is coming. Quote dash exclamation mark. Quote. Yulongdu suddenly stood up. The chair was pushed by his movements to make a harsh sliding sound, and a strong dragon breath surrounded the body, as if it would burst out in the next moment. Quote. Adu, what's wrong with you? Kona's puzzled voice sounded from the side. No, it's all right. After calming down his breath, Yulongdu, who sat down again, shook his head and did not say what happened to him just now. Dr. Damu is really old and strong. Yulongdu said this sentence carefully. He and Dr. Damu were separated by 2 generations. Although it took a long time to listen to President Dama Lanchi about Dr. Damu's brilliant achievements in his youth. But for a long time, the image of Dr. Damu's scientific dean has been so deeply rooted in the hearts of the people that even he, the 4 heavenly kings of the Alliance headquarters who knows a lot of inside information, has subconsciously ignored it. Ask for flowers. Before becoming a scientist, Dr. Damu used his own power to overwhelm the Tianzhou trainer of an era. What I didn't expect was that Dr. Damu would be so strong. For a long time, he thought that he had caught up, and even opened the gap with the other party. At least, the 3rd step. Yulongdu's eyes darkened. After the game, he came to the lounge on the top floor of the venue alone, and dialed the number of President Damalangi. President Damalangi, I have something to report to you. Yes, I understand. Okay, I will temporarily mobilize the contingent under my command for temporary defense work. Well, don't bother. 0. Hanging up the phone, the cold voice of Yuji came from behind. Why, it's tricky. Yulongdu didn't look back. He knew that it was Kona behind him, and he didn't hide it from her. After the rockets suffered the consequences, Guandu finally ushered in a period of time. I don't want to cause turmoil again because of this incident. Because of the Damu family? Kona asked, pushing the mirror socket. No. Yulongdu shook his head, and in his mind flashed in turn several real new town trainers who performed well on the field, as well as the harmless face of Dr. Damu, and said solemnly. Because. Really new town. Kona is silent. Yes. Before I knew it, Junshin Town, a trainer of several generations who had been under pressure, could not breathe, and after decades of silence, an unimaginable bottom emerged again. Yun, a teenage champion trainer, 4 in 1 go. And there's nothing she can easily win. Tisk tisk, really scary. P.S. Kona tilde begging. Closing parenthesis. 430. A Jin who intends to conquer Baizi. The final starts please order. The other side. After returning Xiao Huang in the medical room to the lounge and rejecting her roommate Alice's invitation to fight, Baizi left the rest area, walked quickly, and walked towards his room. After today's game, a sense of urgency rose in his heart for no reason. It seems that some unimaginable crisis is about to come to his head. Baizi thought of the masquerade incident almost immediately. Are you coming? Baizi's eyes darkened. This time. He's not going to run away anymore. Before, it could be said that it was a temporary retreat under the circumstances of fledgling and no chance of winning. But today, the top legends with 2 top battles, even in the face of this elite. As for the 2 feathers of Ho-Oh and Lugia, to avoid conflict. This Baizi didn't think about it at all. As I said before, this is not a battle between right and wrong, but a battle of positions. Moreover, 360 is the strongest trainer whose combat power is a mystery in the spiritual history, and he has the power to fight. Baizi also wanted to see how far apart he was from Uncle Lu. Maybe he could take this opportunity to explore the realm of the gods. But this battle is almost conceivably dangerous. Before starting the war, he needs to set up Rusumanai, Mei, and Aunt Hanako, and keep them away from this place of right and wrong in advance, so as not to be involved in an unexpected outbreak. In war. Baizi was thinking about it. Whoosh _ Suddenly, a galloping sound of breaking wind came from behind the head. Before turning his head, Baizi's body subconsciously turned sideways to avoid it. Snapped. Reaching out to fish, the touch of an unusually familiar object came. Baizi raised his hand and saw that it was a standard. Through the translucent red crystal above, it can be seen that this is an empty Pokeball. What the hell? Baizi's expression was a little confused. But before he could look back, swish swish. The sound of breaking through the air came again. White face turned black. Silver white hair tips are automatic without wind. In an instant. An enlarged red and white Pokeball. _ An invisible thought force rose up and swept away in the direction behind him. Ouch! The slap in the mouth was accompanied by an exclamation. Baizi turned his head. Among the various Pokeballs scattered all over the ground, a Jin, who fell with his feet upside down, clutched his waist, and was crawling up from the ground in a daze. Gasping for air, Jingong, who accidentally twisted his waist, got up and met the gloomy Baizi eyes. Well, I said I didn't have any ill will, I just wanted to make sure of something, do you believe it? Agent said embarrassingly with a cold sweat on his face. What are you sure about? Baizi glanced at the Pokeball on the ground and said casually, are you sure I can be included in the Pokeball? Unexpectedly, Jin nodded again and again. Yes, I just want to make sure that you are human. I was at the venue before, and you. Jin danced and gestured, without noticing Baizi's increasingly gloomy face. He even picked up a Pokeball, threw it lightly, and smashed it on Baizi's shoulder. Slap, _ There was a soft sound, and then the Pokeball fell to the ground as a matter of course, and rolled to the side. Hey, it's useless. One hollow up pointing triangle, one winking face. A question mark appeared on Jin's head, and then he picked up another Pokeball again in disbelief. When I was about to give it another try. A look up. A size 42 sole immediately covered. 10 minutes later, the refreshed Baizi left the place with a sigh of relief. Behind. Pig's head, trapped as a caterpillar fell on the national highway beam. Woo, Ju me, ding 3 ding. As it twists and turns, it looks like a silkworm chrysalis. The next day. Finals will be held as scheduled. The night before, Baizi finally persuaded the female family members to leave the Silver Mountains a day earlier and return to Junshin Town. In the independent lounge, Baizi swept his gaze to the girl beside him, and immediately got a blank eye. What are you looking at? Don't be sentimental, I stayed because of Yai's request, or do you think I'll be in this muddy water? Besides, with the addition of Miss Ben, you can have fun. Tuzi snorted lightly, with a reluctant expression on his face. But the eagerness to try is constantly emerging in her eyes, and she can't hide Baizi at all. Yes, thank you Miss Tuzi for your righteous help Tilda. Baizi was even too lazy to care about this arrogant little girl. Not to mention, this is also a first-level god combat power of a high-ranking legend, how can it be useful? Baizi did not accept the move. Tuzi was also worth humming twice, so he didn't say any more. Although she has a straightforward temperament, she can't say anything ugly. The reason why she is not happy to see Baizi is just because Yayi looks at such a big radish. That's it. After all, this is something that is willing to fight and suffer. Expressing her personal likes and dislikes is the limit of what she can do. As a friend, she will not really interfere with May's choice. At most, it can only be not to give a good face. Morning, 10:30, Oh. Accompanied by bursts of cheers, in the enthusiastic introduction by the referee Caesar, the two players in the first game of the final, Qinglu and Xiaohuang, respectively walked out of the corridors on both sides of the arena and stepped on their respective podiums. Although everyone is most looking forward to the championship battle between Baizi and Crimson, Qinglu and Xiaohuang are also star players in this game. The audience naturally applauded and cheered. On the field. The game starts soon. Closing parenthesis. 431. Pure energy level collision, the third place is confirmed. In this game, most people on the internet are looking forward to a strong collision and a real new town derby. As for the elves, in the previous semi-finals, except for Baizi, who still performed well and ended with a complete victory, Crimson Red, Qinglu and Xiaohuang should have done their best. But unexpectedly, at the beginning of the game, Qinglu gave everyone a surprise. After Xiaohuang sent her Pioneer Pikachu, what Qinglu released was not the hands that had been exposed before. Instead, Nightmare God Darkrai. The whole body is shrouded in black shadows, and the bright red jagged scarf against the background, like a white turbid mist constantly surging, the hair-like part covers most of the face, revealing only deep blue eyes. In the lounge, Baizi recognized it at a glance. This is exactly what Dakdo had revealed before, the low-ranking legend known as the Nightmare God, Dakli. Wow! There was an uproar in the venue, and then, there was a sudden burst of enthusiastic cheers and shouts, which gradually decreased until the referee Caesar announced the start of the battle. This is what you found, Zeraora's opponent. Looking at Darkrai, who turned into a mass of black mist and rushed towards Pikachu in the video, Baizi's eyes flickered. Although there is no way to obtain the specific data of this Darkrai through the video, with Baizi's current eyesight, he can easily distinguish the approximate strength of this Darkrai. The range, a proper champion level, but at most it should not exceed the champion intermediate level. Baizi knew how difficult Xiaohuang's Pikachu was. And it is impossible to be clear about the cyan and green of the whole process. Therefore, at the beginning of the war, after letting Darkrai test Pikachu's speed and reflexes in general, he simply used a highly targeted range of complex skills. Instantly, the icy black mist continued to emerge from under Daklei's skirt, and instantly enveloped the entire venue. Dark fog. Looking at the black smog that enveloped the audience in the video, Baizi raised his eyebrows slightly. Black fog, ice attribute change moves. Its function is to make the power of the spirits within the shrouded range to be the origin. Simply put, it is to reset the buffs obtained before, whether they are beneficial or harmful, they all lose their effect and return to their original appearance. Certainly. In addition, it also has the effect of blocking the line of sight. But Pikachu's powerful reflexes are completely innate talents, similar to the sixth sense. The effect of black fog can be said to have no effect on it. But the turquoise black mist itself is not intended to interact with Pikachu itself. As the black mist rises and covers, an invisible wave spreads out, stirring continuously in the misty venue. Baizi sat up slightly, and Tuzi, who was beside him, seemed to have discovered something. What's in the fog? It's hypnotism. Baizi's eyes flashed, and immediately, he couldn't help shaking his head and sighed. The information leak is too thorough. Xiaohuang's Pikachu is indeed difficult to deal with, but it is completely specialized in one and not good at fighting. Once a small leak is found, it is easy to fall into the trap prepared in advance. What's more, the battle with Bai Zi was almost equivalent to showing the method of targeting. Just like now. Under the cover of the black fog, the silent hypnotic ripples directly envelop the audience, and then gradually shrank in the direction of Pikachu. In the field. Even if it was the quiet invasion of spiritual power, the moment he approached Pikachu, he was still noticed by the other party. Stab, _. The golden electric light suddenly rose, and Pikachu tried to break through the shroud of the black fog. But as soon as Pikachu made a move, Darkrai moved with it. The spreading black mist and hypnotic light waves quickly contracted, turning into a thick fog ball of Michelle, and Pikachu had the most direct confrontation. The next energy level confrontation. Thunder, black fog, and light waves continued to stir, flickering and flickering, making the fog ball in front of Darkrai like a bomb about to explode. But in such a dangerous energy confrontation, a black and red malicious aura gradually condensed between Darkrai's hands, surging towards the fog ball. The wave of evil. Bai Zi narrowed his eyes. Next second. Boom. An irresistible bang came from the audio track of the video, and the streamers of black, red, yellow, and white were wrapped around and bulged, turning into a distorted ball of energy rising from the field. Darkrai was taken for granted in an instant, and Pikachu's situation was even more conceivable. Soon. The dust and light waves dispersed, and in the pothole, Darkrai, whose body was slightly illusory, slowly floated up, and in the corner of the arena where his eyes were fixed, Pikachu's charred body fell weakly on the wall. Before, lost consciousness. Darkrai, win. Leaked too thoroughly. In order to meet Bai Zi, she almost did everything she could. All the whole cards have been shown on the bright side. Bai Zi guessed. In the first game, Qinglu still sees the opportunity to let Darkrai and Pikachu have the most dangerous energy level confrontation despite having a clear advantage. I am afraid that the fight is to seize the opportunity and use the elf replacement right of the first victory to determine the team arrangement after Xiaohuang in advance. In order to strike with precision. And the next battle really confirmed what Bai Zi thought. Flashing flame horse, fast dragon, big steel snake, Vulcan moth, Archaeopteryx. As the elves like Xiaohuang came on stage, Green and Green took every step of the way, using a pre-specified plan to target them. Sexually attacked, and successively swept out the 5 main hands of Xiaohuang. And he, at the cost of 2 injuries and 2 retreats, forced out Xiaohuang's final trump card, the ancestor bird with a high probability of mutation. Subsequently, after Hooty and Bangira took turns to consume, just like before, the Archaeopteryx, whose combat power plummeted due to exhaustion again, was finally sent by his water arrow turtle with a water cannon. Game. Blue-Green won the 3rd place. 432. Bai Zi vs Crimson, the promised battle. That guy Qinglu really doesn't know how to be merciful. Bai Zi sighed unconsciously. Speak up. In this game, aside from Darkrai, the Qinglu guy once again took out the 3 champion-level main players of Hooty, Polygon Beast 2, and Coconut Egg Tree. Counting the Bangira, Water Arrow Turtle, Rada, Beagle, Moon Elf, Super Armored Rhinoceros and Suicune that he revealed in previous games. Among these elves, in addition to Suicune and Darkrai, who are low-ranking legends, there are 9 champions. This number, analogous to Bai Zi, has 2 more. Tisk, really worthy of being the green of the cultivator. After exclamation. Bai Zi found Qinglu as the winner, and seems not too happy. Of course, Qinglu couldn't be happy. Although he can accept defeat, he will also do his best in every battle, and he has indeed defeated Xiaohuang. But runner-up is still runner-up. For him, let alone the 3rd runner-up, even the runner-up. As long as he can't win the final victory, he is a failure. What's more, in this game, he didn't even stand in front of Bai Zi. Again. This is the battle with Xiaohuang. He never denied the use of strategy and tactics, which is part of his strength. But he is also very clear that the power of the elves is the foundation of the trainer. This battle is won. But it revealed a fact that he was unwilling to admit, but had to face: he was the weakest. Not to mention, he himself, and among the four of Kai Hong, Xiaohuang and Bai Zi, is the single ace in battle. Whether Bai Zi's trump card is the giant gold monster, there are two more to say. After helping Bai Zi to deal with Shaolin's troubles, he must return to the clan to do diving. Qinglu walked down the podium in silence, making a decision in his heart. Anyway, he couldn't accept being thrown away by the two guys Bai Zi and Kai Hong. No matter which aspect it was. In the afternoon, 1:30. Silver Mountain Venue. First of all, welcome everyone to this unprecedented peak event. I am the commentator and referee Caesar. Caesar stepped on the back of Goofy's self-exploding Magneto, and his excited voice spread throughout the audience. No more gossip, the next game will determine the final winner of this grand event. Likewise, it will also be number one as a monster-level rookie trainer. Then now, let's have players from both sides take their places. As the commentator's words fell, the big screen above the venue was instantly split in half by a white lightning pattern, turning into two blue and red makeup photos. Silver white broken hair, black turtleneck jacket, warm blue eyes like clouds and mist, with an inexplicable smile. A cap, a red and white trainer suit, and a pair of indifferent crimson eyes under the tips of black hair. Bai Zi versus Crimson. Oh. There was a brief silence, and then, as if they had negotiated, the loud cheers seemed to overturn the ceiling of the venue. In this extremely warm atmosphere, Bai Zi and Kai Hong boarded the podiums on both sides. Hundreds of meters apart, on both sides of the gradually rising forest field, they look at each other from a distance. The sound wave gradually decreases. In the field, looking at Bai Zi, trying his best to suppress the fighting spirit that was about to erupt in his chest, Crimson, who had always been taciturn, pointed his flame-like eyes at Bai Zi, and spoke first. Agreement, how? The indifferent voice came from the loudspeaker. Except for the blue and green, everyone in the venue couldn't help but feel doubts in their hearts. Promise. What contract? But obviously, Bai Zi also knew what Kai Hong wanted to express. In the Big Wood Research Institute, Qinglu, Crimson, and himself, the three of them reached a silent agreement. Legend versus legend, Eudemons versus Eudemons. The Battle of Legends has been completed in the hands of Crimson and Green. Then next. Naturally, it was the Battle of the Phantom Beasts between Bai Zi and Crimson. Deoxys. The smile on Bai Zi's face became more and more obvious, and in the blue eyes, the cloud-like color gradually spread out. Then, as you wish. These words seemed to be some kind of signal. The voice fell. Next second. With the invisible wind pressure, the white Z and the red hair tipped the hem. Sip _. A violent crash sounded suddenly. In the center of Bai Zi and Kai Hong, in midair, there seemed to be two invisible forces competing empty flashes. This is a duel of potential. Collided and resisted, bringing bursts of black arcs in the virtual. Even Caesar, who was hundreds of meters away, suddenly felt a burst of suffocation and depression. His face turned purple for a moment, and he drove the self-exploding magnetic monster to crawl out of the arena. After a few sighs of relief, only then did the command flag hold high and wave down heavily. The game begins. In an instant, the two of them threw the Pokeball out of their hands at the same time. #%*+, hash. Whoosh _. With an indescribable sound, white light flickered, and an orange-red bipedal human elf appeared in the field. Its face is blue-green, with a purple stripe running vertically in the middle, dividing the eyes of the face. Good King's chest cavity has a red crystal, and its legs are like injections. The arms are composed of two tentacles of blue and orange respectively. Overall, it's almost like an alien from a science fiction novel. At this moment, suspended in midair, tentacle-like blue and orange arms floated gently with a certain rhythm, giving people a sense of coldness. It is Deoxys. Deoxys, Red Core, Individual 1, Champion Elementary, Level 71, 2100s. Sure enough, is it a champion? Baizi looked back with a clear expression, and a stream of light flashed in his eyes. At the same time, 8, 5, 6.1, 0, 9.7, 8 inches to open black lens bracket, Ling. Long, close black lens bracket. Stab, underscore. Accompanied by a burst of blue lightning, the upright handsome big cat covered in golden yellow jumped out of the thunder and stood in midair. 433. Evenly matched. No, please ask. These are 2 brand new elves that have not been included. The commentator Caesar took 2 heavy breaths, and his tone became more and more shocking and passionate. As a commentator, I can say responsibly that these 2 elves have never been included in the preface of the Alliance. On the list. That is to say, this is a brand new species that is completely unknown in terms of attributes and categories, just like the previous pheromones. No. Baizi suddenly interrupted, and his clear voice spread throughout the audience. It's called Zeraora, it's from Chengdu, and the wind comes to the city. In the field. Zeraola turned back suddenly, and the moment she met those blue pupils, the promise and oath of Baizi and herself on the mountain behind Fenglai City suddenly sounded in her mind. Zeraora, it's time to let go, join me on the stage of the world, and announce your appearance to the world. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket and I. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. I will bear your name and all your greed and coveting in the midst of all the attention. Close black lens bracket. Zeraora, my name is Baizi, my dream is to become the strongest in the world. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Would you like to walk with me? Close black lens bracket. Ola tilde. Zeraora's icy vertical pupil softened, and then, accompanied by the thunderous sound of thousands of birds chirping, she turned her icy gaze on the opposite Deoxys. Baizi, 360. Now my prayer, I wish there was only one, and that would turn into an axe and cut all the thorns and obstacles on the way to the top for you. Electric on surround. Stab, underscore. The audience only felt a flash in front of them, and in the next second, Zeraora rushed in like a teleport. The afterimage that remained in place has not disappeared, and the figure on the other side was already arriving. At the moment, he waved his claw arm and hit hundreds of punches. Exclusive skill, Plasma Lightning Punch Combo. The suddenness of this attack, the speed of the attack, and the intensity of the attack range are all top-notch. See it with the naked eye. I just felt that in an instant. Zeraora trembled slightly, and a golden streamer rushed out from its body, pulling out a long line in midair, and when it reached the end, it was instantaneous. It exploded, blooming like a brocade, and engulfed Deoxys in an instant. But next second, Zeraora, who hit this gorgeous blow, jumped straight back, leaving an afterimage in the electric light, and burst out. Then, whoosh underscore. A wave of light shining with many colors fell from top to bottom, penetrated the afterimage, and hit the ground directly. A spiritual stab. Boom. In the sound of the explosion, a small mushroom cloud rose up, and the accompanying impact ripped out a piece of nearby trees. And until now. In the field. The afterimage of the golden flower, horizontally in the air gradually dissipated. Everything happened between lightning and flint. It was not until the end of the tentative confrontation between the two sides that there were short bursts of exclamations from the audience. And then, the changes that took place in the arena made everyone stunned for a while. Only see. The shape of the unknown elf that looked like an alien suddenly changed drastically. The legs, that is, the outer armor of the chest and abdomen, quickly retreated, revealing the gray line-like body inside. The body, the entwined arms of different colored tentacles, also turned into 2 blue and 1 orange, the face shrunk and flattened, and a piece of tissue protruded from the back of the head that looked like a tail. On the whole, it was like pushing off a suit of armor. And the next second, Lala. As Deoxys trembled, it suddenly turned into 2, 2 into 4, and 4 into 8. Layer upon layer, forming a circle of people, enclosing Zeraora in the middle, completely include. Each body is like a picture with an incomplete signal, with a vague sense of evanescence. Obviously, this is not a shadow clone, but an afterimage caused by pure speed. On the field, after surrounding Zeraora, all the Deoxys folded their arms and lifted them to their chests. Next moment. Hum _ layer upon layer, amidst the humming sound that spread from all directions, at least nearly 100, Deoxys rushed out and shot arrows in the direction of Zeraora. CFED. Fast. Oh. Zeraora's lightning-like beard trembled, and as the long golden tail swayed, the left and right fists that shone with lightning suddenly slammed together. Stab _ During the collision of the electric light, countless tiny light spots burst out, scattered like a laser, and met those figures who came by surprise. Plasma lightning fist scattered. Swish swish puff. Most of the electric ons pass straight through. There is only one place. The effect of hitting the real object, but it was directly broken by the galloping, and continued to charge in the direction of Zeraora. However, found it. Zeraola's eyes narrowed, the claws that were slamming together suddenly stretched forward, and the index finger stretched out, showing a pistol posture. Next second, the thundering light spots condensed from the tip of the index finger, and in an instant it turned into a blue light column with the thickness of the forearm and shot out. Plasma lightning fist laser. Plasma lightning fist laser, used for assault penetration, was not slow at all, and Deoxys in the speed form used Godspeed to strike again. The two sides, unavoidable, collided directly. Sip. Accompanied by a dull impact sound, the energy smoke suddenly overflowed. And the next moment, a sturdy blue hand suddenly stretched out from the smoke screen and waved. Call _ The smoke is gone. It seemed that the whole body was wrapped in thick armor, giving people a sturdy and much thicker feeling that Deoxys appeared. Then, the thick armor was quickly pushed away, revealing a triangular crown-like head, sharp knee blades protruding, and two pairs of sharp tentacles stretched out at a high speed, stabbing towards the chest of Zeraora, who was almost at hand. In the nick of time. Acrobatics. Under the blessing of the energy factor of the flight system, Zeraora's originally tight body suddenly became loose and light, twisted in the air, and dangerously avoided the 4 stabbing arrows. Tentacle. Slap. Bounce. Crimson and Shirazawa gave orders almost simultaneously. Moment. Deoxys stabbed the tentacles on both sides of the sky with nooses, turning into 2 whip shadows that slammed horizontally from left to right. And face this. Zeraora, who was twisted in the air, suddenly curled up and kicked her legs, and by accident, she stepped on the tentacles that Deoxys slammed. Leveraging the force, one jumped, flew straight out, and under the electromagnetic blessing, jumped straight above the sky. Wonderful match. This lightning-like attack and defense made the audience on the field inadvertently excited. In particular, the various forms of Deoxys are eye-opening. But in the field, the crimson expression suddenly became serious. 434. Morphological change. You are not the only one. Crimson certainly has reason to be dignified. Although it seemed that they were evenly matched on the surface, Deoxys took advantage of the change in form to suppress Zeraora for a time, leaving the opponent basically on the defensive. But, thinking in another direction, all his attacks, even if they took advantage of the change in form, were of no help to Zeraora till the half a point. Panic at all because of the various raids under the change of form. All the way through. And more important, is at the end, when Zeraora used acrobatics to evade Deoxys' stab. His instructions were actually read through. Read it first. Good. It was read first. Vizi pre-read his slap command, and used it in a very targeted manner. The slap move they used opened up the distance between them. The one who judges. Crimson recalled the title of judge that Dr. Ogi gave to Baizi. Bounce. In the end, Zeraora calmly used Deoxys. To have such a title, perhaps, he should abandon the plan of taking advantage of the speciality of Deoxys to beat Baizi by surprise. Instead, treat this battle as a battle in which the cards are completely exposed to the opponent's eyes. That being the case. Deoxys. Accompanied by Crimson High Drink. No instructions are required. %+%. Deoxys, who made an inexplicable noise, seemed to have a consonance in his heart, and quickly returned to his basic form. His body opened from a low place, and the word, big, opened. Next second. Swoosh swish. Countless pitch black shadows, that were consistent with its basic form flew out of its body, seemingly endless, piled up like dark clouds, spreading toward the sky. Oh. Baizi raised his eyebrows slightly. He naturally recognized these things. This is not a special skill, but a special ability of Deoxys. Deoxys can differentiate Sombra avatars with simple thinking patterns. These avatars cannot use skills, and their damage resistance is not high. But the release speed is very fast, and the consumption is almost nothing. It is a pretty good ability when used well. Don't you see that in Visitor of the Cracked Sky, that Lai Kongzai was once entangled by these shadowy incarnations of Deoxys and couldn't break free? It can be seen from this. Although these shadow avatars cannot use skills and have weak damage resistance, they have basically inherited their basic physique. If you accidentally get entangled, I'm afraid it won't be so easy to get out. But if this ability is hidden well and the timing is right, it will obviously be a good killing move. How could Crimson be exposed so easily? Is it possible? Does he think there is no need to hide? Baizi's eyes flashed, and after coming into contact with Crimson's gaze locked on him, his mind suddenly flashed like lightning. Is this aware of my ability to see through each other? Interesting. A smile flashed in Baizi's eyes. Subsequently, in Kai Hong's look that seemed to be certain, he said, I have to say, Kai Hong, you are really sharp enough. The sound is transmitted to the audience through the loudspeaker. You're right, Deoxys has no secrets in my eyes. Basic, speed, defense, attack. With these 4 forms, Deoxys can be regarded as almighty. But when it comes to morphological changes, it's not a patent for Deoxys. The words fell, and the crimson expression suddenly changed. And the next second. Stab, _. Accompanied by a scorching white electric light like a thunder column, those black Deoxy phantoms were instantly dissipated by a strong thunderbolt. And as the electric monts overflowed and opened. Now. In the air. The golden fur of Zeraola turned into white, the azure skin was matched with the embellishment of glittering gold, and the golden white lightning was entwined. Zeraora thunder form. Call, _. The invisible air flow seemed to be driven by something, and it blew up the fluff all over Zeraora's body. In the air, a viscous energy factor is gradually surging. Stab, stab. A trace of lightning flashed from midair in a chain. Vaguely, there seemed to be a burning white river, converging in the direction of Zeraora in the sky. Immediately, the red face that felt a chill rising from his back suddenly changed, and he almost roared abruptly and ordered. Deoxys, hold on. Next second. It's sizzling. Click. Lightning strikes, a thunderbolt from the blue sky. Ow. In the low roar, Zeraora, who was in the form of thunder, suddenly raised one arm high, and countless scorching white rivers gathered together. Tomahawk. Ask for flowers. This thunder battle axe is so dazzling and terrifying. Circles of golden white energy lightning tangled and jumped on the surface, and the surrounding space continued to make waves under its influence, just like the substance. Boom. Then, with the absorption of all the energy factors, the strong wind pressure brought by the backflow spread in all directions, and the trees in the ground below were smashed. Raised claw arms clasped. Zeraora suddenly made a downward slash. Call, _. The energy giant axe surrounded by thunder broke through the wind and clouds, pouring down with a piercing scream, like a hot knife cutting butter, pressing down on Dio, who was in a defensive state and condensed an energy shield. Chisses pierced the forest landscape below. The whole venue was silent, and the needle drop could be heard. Then, boom 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 boom. 0. The thunder giant axe went deep into the ground and stood in the middle of the arena. In an instant, the scorching thunder burst out, and the energy explosion covered all sounds. All of a sudden, everyone felt the earth shake for a while, and the fire was soaring into the sky. The shock ripples gushed out from the center like a tsunami, and the tumbling smoke and dust spread like a ring, overwhelmingly pressing in all directions. Wherever he passed, sand and stones were flying all over the sky, and trees were uprooted by their roots. And the turbulent thunder column surged towards the sky like a backflow, constantly scouring the safety device that seemed to be crumbling, blazing brightly, rushing to the sky. Even the spectators who were used to all kinds of super-standard battles were still shocked by the thunderous pillar, and they stared blankly at the burning energy shield that was constantly scouring the edge of the field. Bai Li Guang. A long time. Lightning fades away. On a piece of scorched land, Deoxys, whose body was torn apart with only the mutilated upper body left, curled up weakly in the middle of the ravine that bisected the arena. This is Zeraora's thunder form, and thunder and lightning. Baizi put one hand in his pocket, and added with calm eyes. Don't try to use self-regeneration in vain, the core of Deoxys is now under the control of Zeraora. You can't hide this from me. You should be prepared, right? The voice fell. Stab, _. As Zeraora clenched her claws slightly, a white lightning chain loomed from the air, linking to Zeraora's claws and Deoxys' red core respectively. On top. Quote. You lost. Begging _. 435. Crimson, let me see your limit. You commanded Zeraora to defeat the red Deoxys, and gained a little, battle experience +20, Zeraora experience value +15, plasma lightning fist proficiency +5, thunderbolt electricity proficiency +3. The system's prompt sounded from Baizi's ears. Obviously. In the system's judgment, this duel is also. The winner is already divided. Immediately. Baizi gave Zeraola a look, and Zeraola immediately understood. The fist claws loosened, and the lightning chain wrapped around the core of Deoxys immediately overflowed. And with the overflow of the lightning chain. *%+. In an indescribable murmur, Deoxys, who only had his upper body left, regenerated his remaining limbs at a speed visible to the naked eye. Moment for him to fully recover from 360s, and he couldn't see any injuries at all. Have to say, Deoxys' self-regeneration ability can be called a must. As long as the core is not seriously injured, it can almost be said that it can't be beaten to death. Suicide Flow, who plays with injury for injury to pass away? It turned out to be. Qinglu on the stand couldn't help clenching the railing in front of him, his eyes were shocked. He knew that Baizi was very strong. Especially the use of the environment, and the grasp of the rhythm of the battle. In the face of Baizi, as long as you have even a little bit of mistakes and omissions caught, then you will be greeted like a disease. A stormy blow. But the opponent is Crimson. He has a fighting talent that even his grandfather admired, calling him a combat man, Crimson. Even Baizi shouldn't have so easily crushed Crimson's tactics to the point of this awe. Green and Green really can't understand a little bit. Actually. In terms of battle talent alone, Baizi really wasn't necessarily much higher than Crimson Hong, at most, it was half a pound. But in terms of vision, let alone redness, he can shake off 99.9% of the world's people at least 8 blocks. Witnessed top legends, and even the power on them. Has the blue noise and the black flashing fiery seat, which are also among the best in the top legends. Even, personally completed the feat of killing a god. Under the tall buildings, although Crimson is good enough, compared with the top-level legendary battlefield, there is no way to force Baizi's limit in this kind of battle. In other words, today's Crimson, including Qinglu, Xiaohuang, Alice and the others, these trainers who are called monster-level newcomers. It's not the same level as Baizi. Do not forget, to this day, all of Baizi's battles are basically the weak victory over the strong. Go on, Crimson, as the only opponent who has set foot on the stage of this final against me, I will really give my best. Potential, that gradually rose up, seemingly endlessly increasing. Beyond everything, finally on top. Now, let me see your limits. The voice fell, and Chi-Chi swept the audience in an instant. In an instant. Fighting intent, brutality, Wang Wei, tyranny, extreme cold, arrogance, pioneering. Including Crimson, a whole 7 potentials, with their own characteristics were triggered by Baizi's indiscriminate attack. Hey Tilda. Without giving these people a chance to react, Baizi ran over him with an extremely tough attitude. Among them, there are those who resisted for a moment and then took the initiative to evade, and there were those who were unconvinced and retreated after a few rounds of confrontation. Soon. Except for Crimson, the rest of the potential retreated one by one, obviously not ready to participate in this duel between Baizi and Crimson. But in the same way, Baizi's move probably made a deep impression on the other people. Crimson, resisting with difficulty. Baizi's strength exceeded his expectations. But his expression did not change in the slightest, and the surging fighting intent in his eyes burned even more enthusiastically. Taking Deoxys back, Crimson took out the second Pokeball and threw it suddenly. One storm. Mild Tilda. The white light flickered, seeming to sense the trainer's determination, and Ba Dahu, who jumped out of it, immediately mobilized the energy factor in his body almost as if he were suppressing it. Between the whistling hurricane, there are countless powders of different colors mixed into a roaring colorful tornado that rises one after another from the heaven and the earth. Sand, gravel and broken wood are constantly being absorbed. The tornado expanded rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye, and within a moment, it was already approaching Zeraora. Stab, _. The golden-white electric light surged up from Zeraora's body, and after it was transformed into an electromagnet to fix the body, it didn't make another shot. Because next, it's time for the other partners to perform. Next second. The red rays contain it. And next. A Laplace appeared leisurely from midair. Flat quadruped sliding room. Slam, la. Layers of water curtains were created out of thin air, turning into surging waves, holding Leprasto, from top to bottom, and slapped towards the tornado. Climbing the waterfall. Sip, _. The dull crash sounded suddenly. Colored, tornado, immediately stopped expanding, while the waves formed by the waterfall climbing skill were instantly disintegrated as if vulnerable. It turned into an overwhelming water curtain and washed away the dust of the arena. At the same time, the water flow swept in by the storm also instantly soaked the powder inside. Seeing this, Qihong's expression suddenly tightened, and she immediately raised her voice and ordered, "Stop, blow it away." Mild Tilda. Crimson's response was fast enough, and so was Ba Dahu. As soon as the order was issued, it forced its wings to fold up, enduring the 4.3 tear-like pain, and forcibly maneuvering. It can go beyond the usage route of blowing fly. Feng Feng. The energy vibrated, and Ba Dahu's trembling wings brought a wind pressure in the opposite direction in the center of the tornado, forcibly creating a circle of vacuum around his body. But next second. Click, click. The astonishing chill spread, like the scene replacement in the video, but in an instant, the field mixed with tornadoes, powder, and water flow turned into a connected ice and snow sculpture plastic. Standing quietly in front of everyone. Wu Tilda. And at the top of the frozen tornado, Laplace slowly fell while whispering. Closing parenthesis. 436. Crimson's counterattack, self-destruction. What a restrained chill. Looking inside the observation room, Looking at the huge ice sculpture that almost spread over the entire arena, Kona's pupils suddenly shrank under the mirror. The audience was instantly frozen, but there was no response from the safety device at all. As a champion trainer specializing in ice, even her Laplace, no, excluding the secret trick, even her strongest ace is hard to cause with such a degree of freezing, there is no trace of chill. Not to mention Sip, Pure Land, for himself in the nick of time, quickly collected sunlight, and then quickly spewed it out, intending to use the sunlight beam to break through and look around. Cage, But a pity. The bright yellow beam of light blasted out, and when it was worthy of punching a pothole 3 or 4 centimeters in size, the 4 walls of the ice cell that bound Ba Dahu had already thickened by 10. A few centimeters. Beam bombardment, venom erosion, sonic shock. Even if Ba Dahu made repeated attacks, everything was still in vain. In my eyes, any mistakes or omissions will be fatal. Your instructions and actions will not have a second chance. Like a warning. At this moment, Ba Dahu has not lost his ability to fight, but Baizi has already announced the result to Chihong on his own. Kai, you lost. The same announcement as before. And with the voice falling. Next second. Click. Ba Dahu was completely frozen in the transparent sculpture in the stand by the suddenly increasing ice wall, and turned into a lifelike specimen. Victory and defeat. You commanded Laplace to defeat the Crimson Ba Dahu, with a little gain, battle experience +15, Laplace experience +15, absolute leadership proficiency +5. As the system beeps sound. Under Baizi's suggestion, Laplace untied the ice block at the first time, forming a slide, allowing Ba Dahu, who was covered in frostbite, to slide down. Halfway. A ray of light draws it back. Looking at the weak Ba Dahu in the pokeball, the red palms clenched slightly. He understands. With the perverted insight that Baizi has shown now, in the next battle, he will have to ensure that his tactics are flawless while fighting. But now, he basically knows nothing about the information held by the rest of the main players that Baizi will play next. And judging from the performance of the previous giant gold monsters, giant needle bees, and today's Zeraora and Laplace, I am afraid that all of them have extraordinary characteristics. I must have a certain understanding of the remaining elves, otherwise, the poor information will make me fall into absolute passiveness. But before that, Crimson pondered for a long time, and then took the third elf ball from her waist and threw it. Kapiman, keep it. As soon as the heavyweight player Kirbimon appeared, it caused a small earthquake in an instant. Better than. The moment it landed, the calm-breathing Kirby put its arms up and raised a layer of bright green energy shield, covering its entire body. Do you want to break statically? Baizi raised his eyebrows slightly, and as before, took back Laplace who had completed the show, and released the third player. The light flickered. Shut up, Tilda. In a slightly hoarse melodious whisper, a person stood up, and a red and gray fox appeared in the field. Elegant posture. Lightly licking the red claws that raised his mouth. It was Zoroark. Shut up, Tilda. Holding shield on the opposite side. Without Baizi's instructions, Zoroark, who had already won the true tactical tradition, jumped back directly, and the Kirby beast distanced again. Subsequently, put your hands together, sit cross-legged directly, and start meditation. And it was just the next moment when Zoroark had just raised a slight glow indicating the beginning of the increase. Go, Kai Hong shouted suddenly. Sip, If it had been prepared for a long time, the muscles hidden under the chubby body of Kirby Beast, which instantly removed the guarding shield, were knotted up, the limbs suddenly exerted force, and the hammer slammed into it. Above the ground, 100,000 horsepower. Boom. The ground burst instantly. It is similar to Baizi's giant gold monster's use of magnetic force to dash forward. With the help of charged power, the Kirby Beast uses a special method to use 100,000 horsepower to shoot. The impetus generated in an instant made the slow-moving Kirby beast like a runaway locomotive, wrapped in a bright metallic color, rushing towards the half-court where Zoroark was located. And go. Skill, heavy collision. The power of a heavy collision is determined by the weight of both sides. The heavier you are than your opponent, the more powerful the blow will be. No doubt. Compared with the slender Zoroark and Kirbymon, there is a huge gap. Without the slightest hesitation, Zoroark's body jumped up like a spring and flew into the air. Bounce. Or. The other party didn't give Zoroark any other choice. With the speed and impact of charged and 100,000 horsepower, this heavy collision hit, in addition to beyond 360 in the sky, as long as it is still on the ground. In other places, even if there is no frontal hit, the surging aftermath will never let you beg for it. Dangerous and dangerous. Just a few meters off the ground, the Kirby version of the Meat Bomb Chariot smashed down. Both sides almost passed by. To be honest, this distance is indeed very thrilling, but it is only thrilling. Combining charge, 100,000 horsepower, and heavy ramming, the blow is fast and heavy. Even if you wipe the edges, it won't feel good. But it is precisely because of this that the Kirby beast at this time is unable to make any turns under such impact inertia. Zoroark breathed a sigh of relief. But the next second, substitute. Accompanied by Baizi's sudden low roar, a decisive cold drink resounded throughout the venue, blow up one by one. Light, lit from the cracked metal, coating, surface of the Kirby. In Zoroark's terrified eyes. Boom. In an instant, the dazzling light engulfed Zoroark's body that couldn't be avoided, and the energy explosion obscured all sounds. In an instant, the earth shook, and the fire was soaring into the sky. 437. When you indulge in fantasy, the ending is already doomed. The violent explosion directly set off a mushroom cloud with red light in the arena. The amazing air waves continued to roll, and the shield raised by the safety device was also aroused by waves. For a long time. The smoke is gone. Hoo-hoo. Slap, underscore. In the arena, in the sound of violent gasps, the uneven breath of the Kirby beast fell to the ground with a drum, looking at Zoroark, whose eyes were white and obviously lost consciousness not far away, with a simple and honest face. He showed a relieved expression. 1. Still, don't relax. What it needs to do next is to delay as much as possible for a while, and try to find out the depth of the other party for the partner who is going to play next. Thinking of this, Kirbymon fell on its back and went into sleep. However, ellipsis. Kirbymon, get up. Ah, Kirbymon, Ka-mon, the moment you use it. Whose voice is this? Okay, so familiar. Is it red? Why are you calling me? Does the sound feel like it's coming out of your head? What is this asking me to do? What to use? Instantly lost. The expression of the Kirby beast gradually became condensed, and the faint voice of the trainer caused a violent sense of unease in his heart. Stop using the sleep skill. Then Tilda. The Kirby beast, who decided to follow his inner feelings, suddenly sat up, his claws clasped together, and the rising super attribute energy factor poured into his mind, and with a special circuit, the mind of the brain was briefly emptied. Instant memory loss. In an instant. Kirby only felt that all the scenes in front of him were distorted, and the picture was broken like a mirror layer by layer. A new scene is revealed in front of Kirbymon's eyes one by one. The ground shattered, but instead of being in the opposite half, it was huddled in a pothole on the edge of its own field. There was no Zoroark by his side. The top of the head is covered by a purple-black translucent energy. Did you break free, Tilda? Baizi's eyes were slightly surprised, and then he shook his head. However, since indulging in the illusion, the ending is already doomed. Dark. Blasting. And at the same time. Kirbymon, Iron Roller. The familiar shouting sound also made the Kirby beast suddenly come to his senses. But it hasn't waited for it to act subconsciously. Shut up, Tilda. A low-pitched moan with obvious sarcasm suddenly came from the back of his head. Next second. Boom, underscore. With the violent explosion, the Kirby beast was instantly pressed down on the back of the head by the black-purple energy ball held by Zoroark in the palm of his hand. ... Skill, Diablo Blast. The soil layer was instantly blown up. Stop time. Hum underscore. Accompanied by the dark and deep rays of light flickering wildly, a large number of evil elements are like a wave, with Zoroark as the center, rushing towards all directions. Its momentum is ferocious, and it instantly knocks the Kobo beast under its claws into the air, and the remaining momentum is unabated, madly expanding and raging, covering the field of dozens of meters. Instantly. The dust is gone. The Kirby beast seemed to have fallen outside the field and passed out in a coma. You command Zoroark to defeat the red Kobo beast, and gain a little, battle experience +10, Zoroark experience +15, illusion, feature proficiency +5, dark blasting cooked practice +3. The system's prompt sounded in Bai Zi's ears. With the end of the game, the audience in the venue was silent. It's not like the two previous ones, because of the watchful fighting styles of Zeraora and Laplace. It's just that everyone is stunned by this battle. Simply put, I don't understand it at all. Because of their eyesight, after looking at Zoroark who was on the field, Kirby turned around and slammed into the alloy wall behind him. And after knocking a big hole out of the alloy wall, with a sleepwalking expression on his face, self-destruction, came directly on the spot. During this period, named Crimson also tried to use the Pokeball to recall it many times, but was blocked by the curtain made by Zoroark using pure evil energy factor. Speaking of which, this is the first time they have seen the elf actively intercepting the storage ray of the elf ball. The Kabiman was completely unaware, lying down for a while, and then getting up again. Even if it woke up at the last moment, it was still touched by Zoroark, who had been quietly approaching, with a remember, dark blast, took away the last trace of blood. Kabiman is incapacitated, the winner of this battle is Zoroark. Outside the arena, after the verdict was announced, Caesar, the referee and commentator, explained to the unidentified audience. Maybe there are many people who don't know the identity of this elf named Zoroark. In fact, this is a kind of elf that is only found in the jungles and suburbs of Hajong, as well as the mountain areas of Carlos. Treasure species found. According to the statistics of Big Data, the number of Zoroark ethnic groups is even far less than the number of quasi-god groups. In the legend of Hajong, the good king Zoroark has a unique illusion ability, and locally, he has the title of Phantom Tyrant. Just now Crimson player Kirbymon state, I guess, maybe because of being caught in Zoroark's illusion. To say that this well-known commentator Caesar does have two brushes, the rarity of Zoroark can be counted in 1. Such a rare species, even many local trainers may not know about it, but Caesar can be quite rare, obviously enough to be known in terms of knowledge. Certainly. The reason why Caesar made such an explanation that exposed Bai Zi's bottom line was that his idea was obvious. Bai Zi wanted to fight 1v1 to the end. And Zoroark, obviously has completed the task. 438. Break cognition. Bai Zi's strongest ace. Everyone in the audience suddenly realized that, while secretly admiring, many trainers also sighed about Bai Zi's good luck. An unknown beautiful elf who is suspected of being a legend, Pharaoh. Ibrahimovic with multiple attributes and morphological changes. It can be said that King Kong is not bad, and its supernatural power is enough to compare with the shining giant monster that exists beyond the limit of champion. The speed exceeds the limit of eyesight, and it is also the initial elf that flashes, the big needle bee. One of the Hu guards, Suicune, who is known as the incarnation of the north wind. Two forms, the dazzling wind beast like Thor, Zeraora. Enough to freeze the storm and change the field of Laplace in an instant. ... And this one in front of me, the so-called overlord of phantoms, Zoroark, who is more cherished than quasi-gods and possesses unique illusion abilities. Tisk tisk tilde. It's not that I don't know, but I'm startled. Baizi has basically not been a simple elves from the competition to the current final battle. The chosen son, the chosen son. Many people thought sourly. And most of the audience are even more looking forward to the elf that Baizi will play next. What will it be? Really looking forward to it. And with the eyes of the people looking forward to it. 360. In the field. With the crimson complexion recalling the Kirby beast, Baizi did not wait this time, but followed Zoroark back to the Pokeball. Zoroark, you did a great job tilde. Feeling the gazing, at himself in the Pokeball, Baizi praised with a chuckle. Take the Pokeball back. Think for a moment. Baizi took off the Pokeball for the fourth game. Subsequently, with the order of the referee, Baizi and Kai Hong released the selected elf in their hands at almost the same time. Crimson here. A petite body, a bone stick in hand, a mask skull. It's Quack. Obviously. It can also be seen that Baizi is preparing to fight to the end in 1v1. Even if he is on the verge of desperation, he has finally changed his mind and changed his plan to use the replacement spirit to detect information. Even if he knows it. As such, his already weak odds of winning will be lost more thoroughly. But the pride in Qihong's heart will never allow him to make any plans to back down in front of Baizi's silent invitation to fight. I will never give up until the last minute. At this moment. The crimson with fierce fighting spirit only felt his brain dizzy, and his spirit seemed to enter some inexplicable realm. Feeling has become extremely sharp. The murmur of the wind, the floating of light and dust, and the vision seem to have entered some kind of stagnant slow passage. And then, Crimson seems to have realized the state of mind of Gala Gala at this time. That Cher, even if she puts her life on the line, she will win the victory for him. No matter what, you must not lose. I must win, because Kai once said, absolutely cannot, give up the belief in the decisive victory. Crimson, silent. The tense heartstrings and body also suddenly loosened. Potential, of that fighting intent became more and more pure. Gradually. It is closely linked with Gala Gala's determination to win. Yeah, why do you think so much? Before the battle, you must always maintain the belief in the decisive victory. At this moment, Crimson finally followed closely behind, officially taking a step further on the road of potential and stepping into a new field. Observing the room, it was silent at this time. Subsequently, moment, that was already hooked up by Baizi, and therefore a little unstable, Yulongdu said with a wry smile, drive. 3. In addition to Baizi's monster that even he was secretly put together, there are already 3 trainers in Junxin town, and they have officially set foot on the second level of situation. If it is said to have potential, it is the proof of the truly powerful. So, stepping into the second level of potential is the entry ticket to stand on the trainer's pyramid. Original. In the second stage, Yulongdu in the entire elf world only discovered less than a handful of them, but now, in a semi-regional competition, 3 directly appeared. Moreover, they are all rookie trainers who have debuted for less than a year and are less than 18 years old. This completely shattered Yulongdu's original cognition. Dr. Damu took a sip of the hot tea and smiled without saying a word. Are you surprised? If I let you know that the one on the opposite side has already entered the 3rd stage, and it is not even shallow, then you are not straight. Silly. Heart slander. Damu completely forgot the process of reshaping the 3 views of his inner madness when he was in the 3rd stage of potential, and even when he was crushed tragically. On the other side, the grandstand, the north side. As expected of Red. Qinglu was not surprised by this. After all, as his rival, he would be surprised if he didn't catch up. Especially when it was discovered that Bai Zi was also involved. But the green eyes stared at Bai Zi, and in the pupils, there was a shock that could not be concealed. Bai Zi, in the end, how much distance have you left us? At the same time, in the field, did you catch up? Bai Zi's eyes flashed a hint of admiration, but after that, there was a hint of pity. Have to say, being able to defeat the successive fiasco without any gas barrier, and even go a step further with pressure, the mind and willpower shown by Crimson is indeed brilliant and eye-catching. But unfortunately, what he has to face in this fourth battle is the strongest among his 6 main forces, who is in charge of burning, and reaches the quasi-god realm. The legendary dog. P.S. Flame Monkey. What about me? Why ignore me? Am I unworthy? Ding ding. 1. 439. No resistance, quasi-god level. Ouch. In the melodious long chant, a wind-speed dog that stepped on a little spark lightly landed, and its slender temples fluttered in the wind, looking very handsome. As soon as the wind-speed dog appeared on the stage, Galagala subconsciously tightened the bone stick in his hand. It was not because of fear, but in front of the calm and unremarkable wind-speed dog in front of him. At times, it always has an inexplicable trembling, as if the instinct of a creature is awakening itself to stay away from the other party. It's just that when Galagala senses itself, everything seems to be just an illusion. But Galaga didn't take this as an optional delusion. On the contrary, it tensed up immediately, stared at the seemingly unremarkable wind-speed dog on the opposite side, and raised its vigilance to 120%. Actually find it. Opposite, Bai Zi couldn't help but raised his eyebrows and praised softly. Excellent fighter. This Galagala is indeed very strong, but not to mention the high rank of the champion, even if it is the limit of the general champion, the gap between it and the quasi-god rank is enough to be called a world of difference. Not to mention, since the wind-speed dog completely controlled the burning authority and turned the blazing sun mode into a general state, the scorching fire element has long been able to be retracted freely. In the hands of a group of elves on weekdays, it does not show any mountains or waters. Even the super energy scouts who are best at sensing may not be able to detect the fire attribute energy level of the wind-speed dog converging to the extreme. But this Galagala in front of him sensed the unusualness of the wind-speed dog with the instinct of a fighter, and naturally deserves the phrase, excellent fighter, by Bai Zi. But no matter how tenacious the Crimson's will is, how good this Galagala is as a warrior, the ending is already doomed. Thinking room. Following the referee's order, Chihong instantly launched a strong attack, stomp on. Rock block. Gala tilde. In an instant, Galagala in the field made a small jump, and her feet stomped heavily on the ground. Stomp. So-called stepping, also known as land preparation. Although most of the time, it is a melee contact skill, but in fact, it is a ranged attack skill that reduces the opponent's speed. Sip _. With the stepping of Gala, with his feet as the center, the ground suddenly surged up layer by layer like waves, swaying in all directions. And Galagala took advantage of this surge of strength and jumped into the air. He waved the bone stick in his hand. In an instant. Swoosh swish. With the sound of the wind breaking, countless cone-shaped rock blocks were quickly condensed and turned into an array of spears. As for the Galas, they took the opportunity to hide behind these rock spears, and I don't know where they are. Facing this heaven and earth clash, again, Bai Zi was unmoved. Same. The wind-speed dog also looks like the old god is there. Raining down from the sky. Just when the skill was approaching, he gently stomped and stepped on the ground. Step _. With a little bit of Mars, the soles of the feet touch the ground. Stomp. In an instant. A circle of turbulent ripples slammed forward from the foot of the wind-speed dog in a fan shape, and collided with the ground waves raised by the quack. Boom. The two forces of the same attribute collided together, causing a violent collision sound in an instant, and the turbulent wind rose up and rolled up a hurricane. But the mighty and powerful blow of Gala Gala barely stopped the wind-speed dog, which was obviously just a taste of the stomping. It was directly dumped and swept away. And at the same time, coax, along with the little sparks flying from the sky, the rock guns that hit straight down fell to less than 5 meters above the wind-speed dog. Like a piece of paper thrown into the stove in an instant. Use it as the dividing line. Rock gun, thrown into it was instantly burned to nothing. Quote dash exclamation mark. The Crimson Temple suddenly burst, and hurriedly shouted, quick! Use the iron tail to avoid it. The voice fell. Gala Gala suddenly sprang from behind a rock gun that was about to fall off the separation line, and then, the short tail rendered in the color of gold and iron slammed into the bottom of the rock gun. Sip. Accompanied by a dull sound, the rock gun was shot down at an accelerated rate, and was instantly burned to nothing. And Gala Gala used this force to traverse and fly across the separation line, in a dangerous way, and fell back to the ground that seemed to have been scraped off a layer of mud. Ask for flowers. But just fell. Next second. It felt a pain in the back of its neck, as if it was clamped by some interlaced serrations. Subsequently, eyes turned upside down. Sip, With the heavy blow from the back, a suffocating blockage and a strong sense of dizziness came along, and the eyes went black, and I completely lost consciousness. Call. In the field, the wind-speed dog, who let out a breath of turbid air, loosened its canine teeth, and let Gala Gala, who was caught by the back of his neck in his mouth, fall into the pothole on the ground. Smash it. Your wind-speed dog killed the red Gala Gala in seconds, and gained a little, experience value +2, heavy tread proficiency +1, spark proficiency +1, divine speed proficiency +1. 0. The system prompt sounded in Bai Zi's ears again. At the same time, facing the fiasco of Gala Gala's powerless resistance, especially when he knew Gala Gala's will, even with a red heart, he couldn't help but be shocked. The defeat was terrible, and the strength of the two sides had a huge gap like a moat. This wind-speed dog is by no means a champion. It is. Exactly, God. The crimson voice spread through the loudspeaker throughout the audience. Most of the audience was a little puzzled. Quasi-God. Although the wind-speed dog once had the title of legendary Pokemon in Guandu, this is only the blessing of regional legends, and it has long been confirmed that it is not a special ethnic group. Not a fairy tale. Certainly. Nor is it a quasi-God race. Then, where did the title of quasi-God come from? Compared with the ordinary trainers and spectators who are less aware of it, many top trainers who are paying attention to this battle, as well as everyone in the observation room, all have a ghostly expression. Teenage champions are already scary. Now, you tell me, this special is already a quasi-God level trainer. Begging _ 440. Bad premonition, unfinished battle. In the field. Facing Kai Hong's unsure eyes, Bai Zi touched the tip of his nose and was a little worried about the other party's state. This fellow Kai, shouldn't he be crushed by himself? In fact, Bai Zi is completely kind. The reason why he went all out. On the one hand, it is to verify and express the achievements and demeanor of our partners on this rare stage. Second, he has great expectations for the protagonists of all generations, especially the two red and green. Although now he has basically reached the championship level or even above the level of his main handheld, and he is also the leader of the two top legends. But if you want to face a dark group that has ruled multiple regions for 4 years, and has created countless armies of dark elves, the technology is estimated to have gone against the 360 days. Weave. In addition, a dark super dream that may officially enter the realm of creation at any time. To be honest, Baizi really has nothing to win if he has to fight against these two compatible organizations by himself. Grasp. He need help. So, Baizi desperately hopes that Crimson and Qinglu can speed up the pace of becoming stronger, so that they can help him fight against the Rainbow Rockets in another world, and the Dark Mewtwo. Because since the last time and the Dark Super Dream looked at each other across the space-time gap, he had a lot of strong premonitions. One day, he and this Dark Super Dream that has already set foot in the field of creation will meet again. And the location may be the time and space where the other party is, or it may be the world in which you are now. If given enough time. Don't say anything about the cross-world organization Dark Super Dream, even if it was Arceus in his heyday. Baizi didn't have the confidence to touch it after reaching the full level. But it is this uncertainty in time that is the source of his real stress. And if you want to fight against the Dark Super Dream, what you need is probably the top legend or even the top legend, or even the leader in the top legend. Under the realm of the gods. I'm afraid it can only be used as cannon fodder. And what he needs, it is possible to grow miraculously in a short period of time, and the only ones who can safely give his back to the other party are red and green. As for Xiao Huang, in terms of talent and emotion, she is not inferior to Qilu, but in the real battlefield, Baizi is not sure whether Xiao Huang is competent. After all, Xiao Huang still hasn't even entered the first stage of potential. This also surfaced from the side. She has not been able to truly integrate her mind, will and fetters into one, truly, stronger. However, the other, monsters, can't let me specialize in beauty, right? That's fine too. Take me as the goal and try your best to catch up. At this moment, Baizi's strong personal will spread through the ascension of potential, and all the trainers who could understand this clearly accepted Baizi's silent invitation to fight. Subsequently, he glanced past the amazed turquoise above the north stand, and refocused on the red. You. Go on, Kai, let me see your limits. Familiar words came out of Baizi's mouth again, interrupting the question that Kai Hong almost blurted out. Quote. Good. Chi Hong frowned at Baizi, pressed the brim of his hat, and nodded slightly. He could feel what Baizi seemed to be hiding, and the strong purpose of his actions just now. But as a qualified trainer on the field, the only thing he needs to do is to go all out. My limit. Crimson put away the Pokeball with Gala Gala, took down a red and white ball marked with a lightning mark, and suddenly rushed into the field. Click, click. With the thunder flashing in the white light, the next second, a thunderbolt from the blue sky. A petite Pikachu appeared in the flash of lightning and fell onto the ground wet with drops of water. And followed. As if the signal sounded, under the cover of the rapidly spreading dark clouds, the pouring rain came. You'll see. Stab, _. The white smoke rises from the wind speed dog in the field. This is the smoke generated by the rain curtain being evaporated by the wind speed dog's body surface, and it is still expanding with time. It's raining. Baizi didn't use his mind power to block the rain curtain, and let the rain soak the tips of his hair, shoulders, and even his entire body. In the rain curtain, there seems to be a solemn sense of slaughter, but Baizi doesn't hate it very much. He took the wind speed dog back. Subsequently, without any hesitation, he took out a luxurious ball and threw it towards the court. Sizzling beer tilde. The low-pitched insect chirping sounded, full of metallic texture, with long and narrow eyes, holding a gun, and standing in the void, with a solemn xiaoshideng that was inexplicably suited to the environment. Field. It is Baizi's original elf, the big needle bee. Pick up tilde. Sheila _. The appearance of the giant stinger instantly aroused Pikachu's fighting spirit. Bright electric lights flickered from the red electric capsules on both sides of the cheeks. The continuous emergence of electrical factors made the entire arena, including the rain screen, they were all vaguely reflected and linked, and they flowed back in the direction of Pikachu. This is a charging trick. And at the same time, Hum_. The whole body of the giant needlebee also filled with a little mysterious brilliance, and circles of illusory sword-shaped energy emerged and surrounded. Sword dance. Obviously. Whether it's a Pika 4.3 mound or a large needlebee, they are all full of fighting spirit towards each other. The duel that was tasted before each set off, but was not completely enjoyable. Here, let's decide the winner again. X2. I will never lose again. Pika, Chu. With such a will, Pikachu took the lead in jumping up, curled up with a small body, and burst out a dazzling pillar of thunder, hitting the giant stinger. 100,000 volts. P.S. Potential. The first step is to suppress the trainer and increase the handheld combat power. The second step, to perceive the spirit's emotions and connect the injuries, both consume a lot of physical strength. The third step, slightly